Spider-Man, Spider-Man, whip, 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 whip.
I've seen the movie. It's a Christmas miracle.
I don't.
Okay, we have a story here. We have a story, which is great because when I set up this thing, I was asking everybody and, various, we got group chats and individual chats and whatnot. I did not think Scott was going to be a part of this, but Scott, you saw the movie. Tell us the story.
Okay. Tuesday, noon. I'd had tickets since the day the tickets went on sale. I was going to see it on Tuesday because then I bought my Matrix tickets for Wednesday. 9 o'clock Tuesday morning, my child care cancels on me.
Oh.
Now, I was both pissed and understanding. My father-in-law had a hernia. I mean,
yeah, you basically went.
Fuck! I think I did that in the car, actually. As I'm driving back from a cardiologist appointment, because I had been up since 5:30 in the morning to go to a cardiologist appointment at 8:30 in the morning. And on my way home, I get this news.
Oh, man.
You were having a Clark Griswold day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
And all I did as I was sitting at my in-laws' house watching The Matrix, because I decided might as well get started on my rewatch because I'm going to go see Resurrections the next day. I saw I looked at tickets for the rest of the day, so that wasn't happening. That wasn't happening. Wednesday, I couldn't because we were already seeing The Matrix. So I went for Thursday because now my IMAX screen is sharing. There's 4 IMAX showings. 2 of them are Matrix. 2 of them are Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So like they're splitting time now. So I only had 2 opportunities. So I said, okay, let's try the 3:30. My seats were available. I didn't even know if I had childcare. I didn't care. I went and bought the tickets because like I'm planting my flag.
Yeah.
So of all of these people, I literally just left the movie theater an hour and a half ago seeing this movie. And I went a week and no one spoiled a damn thing because I it was a Christmas miracle.
But how did you do it?
Yeah, that's the real question.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I think I did a good job of like not seeing certain things when it came to when Thursday night rolled around, or like when like the press screenings and whatnot. It all like I avoided some of that. But man, come Sunday on Twitter, all of a sudden it was just like, oh, there's that image and that image, and I was like,
and they're still up. They're still up. They're gone.
I think the only way I did it was because when I went on Twitter, I pretty much just stayed on notifications and DMs.
Yeah.
I stayed off the timeline.
Good job. Good job.
So like for me, it was like I did my thing because I'm still in like safety mode. So I found my 12 p.m. Friday matinee before anybody was off of work. Worked out great. Theater was only a third of the way full. But like leading into, and by the way, someone brought their child.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man.
Oh, I had one today.
And I mean child that cannot walk into the theater under his own power.
Yes, an infant. Why do people do this?
Why? Why?
I find childcare people. I'm not one of those people.
Fortunately,
thank you, Scott, for not being that.
Yes, thank you for being a good parent.
Yes,
because fortunately, it wasn't a Quiet Place 2. This movie it has some quiet spots in it, but it's not really a quiet movie, and that's so it worked. So even the kid, and he wasn't a horrible kid. Every now and then a noise here and there.
Yeah,
really, the dude that was like 5 seats away from me that kept intermittently sniffling and coughing mildly, like more than 6 feet away from me. He made me more nervous.
Yeah. I had a good one last night watching The Matrix. Some motherfucker fell asleep behind me and started doing the.
Oh God!
I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
And I got 3. And speaking of audience reactions, I got about 3 cheers and claps. I was one of them at one point. Yeah. And then I already told Ray, I had 3 cheers or claps. I had one scene where people were laughing that I wanted to say, shut the fuck up. That is such an inappropriate reaction to what's going on screen right now. And then I had another one where I choked up. I don't think tears didn't roll down my face, but they welled up. And my wife looked back at me, and as we were walking the movie, she's like, "Did you start to cry?" I went, "Hell yeah, I did."
There was a moment my loudest moment in the theater was me loudly saying "about damn time" for something that was said during in the movie.
Oh yeah.
The thing that we had been waiting to be said for the last 6 years.
Yeah. By the way, so I hope everyone realizes that it's been a week now, and
this is spoiler stream. People, I mean, it literally says it in the title. If people are watching, you know what? It's on you now. It is on you.
I'll tell you what, though. So, you know, and I realize that there's a at your own risk when you are on social media when it comes to spoilers. But this is by far the worst I have ever seen it for any movie, cape shit or otherwise. This is awful. Really, and it doesn't help that half of the spoilers I did see that were leaked were all real. All real.
Oh,
there wasn't a single leak that wasn't in that movie.
Yeah, we were all Leo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time. Just
I've seen that one. I've seen
that one. Yeah, it was just like. Okay, but I mean,
let me get started with the one that I saw. The one that I saw was like Garfield. That pose, I saw it in the movie.
It's right there. Him leaning against the blue
scaffolding.
It's in the movie.
Oh, he said web block, not web blood. Everybody thought web blood. It's web block. There it is. And I love that, which we'll talk about, of course. But of course, we got a fifth person that's joining, Mr. Ben Everett.
What's going on, guys?
How you doing?
Well, everything's good.
Good. We were just talking about how Scott was able to see it last minute.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad that he got to see it because I felt his pain when we were talking. And we had a little exchange. I'm like, I'm all too familiar with that pain.
Yes.
The wife.
Absolutely.
The wife.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all said.
Are we already on spoiler territory?
We were talking about the leaks. We're talking about the biggest one, which of course was Andrew Garfield, the scaffolding. So we were kind of already talking about that, but we'll go in
mad debate about that picture.
Right?
Oh my God.
People breaking that shit down ridiculously. I was like, wait, what?
Dude. Well,
the guy who came out with a video that's proving it. Remember that?
The Corridor Crew guys. The Corridor Crew guys, when they were they did a video on it, and as soon as those guys were like, you can't fake that with a deep fake. Look at the, and as soon as that went, I was like, all right, this is 100% real.
Well, I mean, and let's be honest, and I want to start with this. As soon as I saw that first trailer, which I told Ray, that trailer, as much as I hated Far From Home, as much as I was checked out the MCU, I'm still a Spider-Man fan at heart. That was a first, X-Men is kind of a first love. Spider-Man is 1A, 1B. And then I became more of a Spider-Man fan than an X-Men fan as the years went on. And so when I saw that first trailer and you see the pumpkin, I was convinced. Ray even I think almost wanted to argue. It was no, that's Defoe's pumpkin bomb. And of course you see Malene. I'm telling my version of the story. It's all subjective. And that's on Melena's arm. I'm sorry. The Spider-Man fan in me went, fuck it, I'm seeing this movie, aren't I?
Yeah,
I am. And not only am I seeing this movie, I'm okay, now not only am I seeing this movie, I'm excited for this movie. So when the rumble started that Maguire and Garfield were going to be the movie, I almost was like, well, of course they're going to be in the movie. The only question is how much are they going to be in the movie?
That was the big question right there too, because a lot of people say, "Oh, are they just going to be in the final act?"
This is where I will completely go into Ray was wrong mode, which so many people think I don't have humility. Oh no, I will absolutely admit when I'm 100% wrong on something. For months I told everybody, please manage your expectations. They will be in the movie for 5 to 10 minutes towards the end, completely wrong.
Thank God.
Whoa, thank God you were so wrong.
Yeah.
Thank God.
You know
Thank
what?
God a lot of people were wrong, man. But I mean,
Yeah,
like,
I never thought that they were gonna be for just 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. I thought
yeah,
if they were gonna serve the movie, the story good, they had to include them in a major part of the movie, and at the same time make Holland the standout out of those three, which they
they totally did.
And they did it so perfectly.
Yeah,
because he wrapped up a lot of things. I was like, okay, so when I saw that thread that they were trying to sort of complete everybody's arc, that's why I was like, okay, they're gonna be here for a very long time.
It seems like that. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
and the thing that I really like that really hit me in watching the movie was because I'm with Scott. Like I Far From Home did not leave a good taste in my head whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I came into this movie with really low expectations. And when I saw there were like 3 clips or so that they released beforehand, like the dude scene at the beginning and like a couple of scenes with Strange, I'm like, yeah, this is not giving me hope.
Okay, so that's where I kind of wanted to start with this whole discussion is like, how did everybody feel when we I mean, it literally takes place like right after Far From Home. I mean, right. I mean, this is like so connected. I mean, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's like, yeah, it's a rough start. It's a little bit of a rough start. I don't know how everybody felt about this.
Yeah.
It was.
Anthony hasn't a chance to jump in, so I want Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony. How do you feel that it started? You know?
Yeah. Well, obviously they released like the first whatever,
like a minute.
Yeah. So I knew it was going to start there. So when it started, I was like, okay. So it's kind of like a going through the motions kind of thing. You know what I mean? Just like let's get past what they've already shown us. I mean, it was whatever. It didn't bother me at all, but I was just like eager to move past that, especially since I had seen that minute or so. I was like, okay, let's get going to what this movie's actually going to be once it opens up. And so the beginning didn't bother me that much. And like you guys, Far From Home, get out of here, man. Far From Home is just I can't.
Right now on my rankings, it lives because I haven't done a full rewatch yet. Like I haven't finished my rewatch of like the more modern movies. It's living in the bottom with.
It's my last right now. It really is.
Well, I consider all the Spider-Verse movies
more than Spider-Man 3.
Well, no, I'm talking about like the Venom. I'm including the Venom movies.
Okay. That's an interesting thought,
you're including
Dave.
Venom too. Okay.
Yeah. So right now, the bottom is like it's a race to the bottom between Let There Be Carnage and Far From Home, and I'm trying to figure out which one's going to
Let There
win.
Be Carnage is better. Let There Be
Carnage is horrible.
Interesting.
Let There Be Carnage is so much better than Far From Home.
I don't feel that way at all about that movie.
I don't feel that way. That movie is horrible.
Interesting. I didn't even think about including the Venom movies. But yeah, I mean, just doing my rewatch and just watching Far From Home again, and it was sad too because I watched it when I went to Vegas at my dad's house for Thanksgiving, and his TV is calibrated to where it's like 30 frames per second. You know that whole thing where it's like notice. So watching that in 30 frames, and just how Disney it is, like just the whole. I mean, there's some great scenes. Don't get me wrong. Some of Mysterio scenes when he's fucking with Peter's head and he's doing all this. It's great. It's great. There's some good, but man, it is just rough. Just going through all that and the reveal, and even like I'm like when Jake Gyllenhaal when they reveal that he is the bad guy. Woo, yeah, we already knew that. Of course, the general audience did it, but then he does that whole speech, and I'm like, holy crap, that was no.
So the realization that I had in the middle of No Way Home is that we were legitimately seeing the evolution of the character through a trilogy. So it's one of those cases where if I have to put up with Far From Home to get to this,
I'll pay that.
Well, that's what I keep on saying. Like we had the longest origin story for Peter, for sure. For Tom Holland,
it took 3 movies.
Well, not even 3 movies. There was actually 6 if you think about it.
That is true. War, Infinity War, and yes, it's true.
Yeah. So I mean, we had the longest origin story, but yeah, I mean, we'll get to the end there because man, I mean, I know like just all of us, just Spider-Man fans, just watching that end, we're probably like, it's finally. Anyway,
I know. I had a finally moment at the end. Yes.
Yes. I know.
One thing that I want to say. because you said about the beginning of the movie that it was a little bit messy, and one thing that I noticed is how important music is in movies, because even there was a scene where he was walking in slow motion into the courthouse. I mean, I'm sorry, to the school, and they had like some garage band playing in the background. It's like, this doesn't fit. I mean, he's like emotionally distraught. This doesn't fit. So even like the music choices at the beginning of the movie, I was like, this is weird.
But it's, I mean, it's definitely rough. It's got a rough, like, good 20 minutes or so.
The thing with the teachers in the hall, that was like, oh god,
what?
Yeah, where they have a mural of like Spider-Man stuff.
That was
Marvel.
I was okay with it because it was like 2 minutes and then it was over and we never saw them again. Which is because we saw them for like an hour in Far From Home, and that was like a problem. I hated it.
It was a perfect. I didn't mind it that much because I thought, like you said, it was not long at all, and it was a perfect way to, like, yes, these characters were in Far From Home, but let's dismiss these characters really quick. Like you know what I'm saying? We acknowledge that they were in Far From Home, and then they're gone, and then you don't have to see them more for the rest of the movie. And so that part didn't bother me that much.
I really feel like once we got to Strange,
we were and that's what I kept on going. I was like, all right, when are we going to get the Strange? When are we get the Strange? I mean, I understand, like, they were trying to establish the story of like all three, Ned, MJ, and Peter trying to get into MIT. And they all,
which I liked. I liked.
Yeah, I actually dug that part of the story because that added to Peter's decision to be like, I need to fix this. My friends and even my aunt, who's also getting, interrogated and everything. Like, it's all, I mean, the fact that they know me, it's really bad. Like, it's bad. So I did dig the fact that they did that. And, I was just try to get to that Doctor Strange part.
For me, like, it started after, the first big reveal happened.
Oh, the first
Cane right. The Cane shows up and it's like, oh well, all right, that's official now. No guesswork anymore. He said it like a week ago. It's like, and clearly he just got to a Feige. That is, he just got to her just like, whatever. I'll just throw it just to say it.
Yeah, that was the first big reveal right there, which I thought was like there, and I love. I mean, it was quick, but I mean, I just love the fact that it just started off with him just slamming, slamming, but the Cane, and you saw it, and then I just remember, I just was like, yes.
I did the same thing. No, the only problem was I had to lean over to my wife and go, "That's Daredevil," because my wife hasn't seen the Netflix shows.
Oh yeah, my brother was like, after everybody was cheering stuff like that, he was like, "Who's that again?" I'm like, it's Daredevil.
Right.
And he's like, oh yeah, from the Netflix. I was like, yes.
Well, because you gotta, like, even the people that don't know who he is, like, after he catches the brick, you gotta know he's somebody.
Dude, and that was so great.
Yes.
That was so great that they added that aspect to it, because they, I said it in my spoiler review, or my spoiler discussion, where I was like, I love the fact that he did something Daredevil-like without being Daredevil.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And I love the fact that, like, you got the Cane, like, and once again, credit to the writing that you got the Cane, you got the sunglasses, so we're actually visually communicating something without exposition. This guy is blind.
Yes. Right. Absolutely.
And then you go, so catching the brick.
The brick got special skills.
It's like, and then he does that, and everyone's looking at him. He's like, I'm a very good lawyer.
That's
so, but like Peter's like, wait a minute.
How did you just do that?
Exactly.
And I mean, and even with all of that, like the hair, everything. I mean, it looked like he had just finished season 3 of the Netflix show. Like, he came right out of the show. But what I really like about that, though, going for the rest of the movie, is one of my biggest fears coming out of Far From Home was that I was fearful that a majority of No Way Home was going to be about him having to clear his name because he had gotten framed. And Matt basically says, no, the charges aren't going to stick. Good. We don't have to worry about any legal shit for the rest of this movie. Good.
Where's Steven? Where's Steven?
I did not want the trial of Peter Parker. I did not want that. I did not want that for this movie. I wanted, and so when they cut that off, and because all the freneticism of the first 20 minutes is like the police interrogations and talking to May and all this stuff, and talking to Happy, and he might be up on charges, and then that's over, and then it goes into well, he's back at school now and the whole MIT thing. And when they focused on that, I was very relieved that they went in that direction with it.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm glad that they didn't
go ahead.
saturate. You were going to say something?
No, go ahead.
One of my fears was the oversaturation of guest appearances, because one of the things that I heard before the movie came out, it's bigger than Endgame, bigger. I'm like, oh fuck me, because one of the things that even though I like these movies, I enjoy all type of. I love the escape shit.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about Marvel fans is that they always have this anticipation: who's gonna be in it, who's the next person who's gonna be in it, who's gonna be it. So I'm like, oh please don't let it be so oversaturated, just guest appearance after guest appearance just for the sake of it. And so I'm glad that whoever showed up was more than enough to make this movie interesting and still be excited for who showed up in the movie.
Yeah, and they did a great job. Like, just like, hey, you know what? And the fact that it worked with Hawkeye. I don't know if you guys watched Hawkeye.
I just watched the first episode today.
I haven't
watched the last.
Okay, we won't talk too much, but I mean,
right.
There's some things that maybe
I think some people's thumb art has already spoiled it for me.
Yeah. You've already kind of known that
because the season finale was yesterday, which I haven't watched it yet, and it's gotten mixed reviews. It's gotten mixed reviews. I know people that really liked it, and I know others that were like, "Wow, that was weak." Like,
it was not the strongest episode. It was not the strongest, but it was a good little wrap up. But I mean, we know what character was always been talked about, and
there was so much smoke. It was like,
but I love the fact that the episode where it is revealed finally, it was like last week with.
They planned it.
So it's like, that was so planned.
Guess what? We got Matt Murdock. We got Kingpin in this world. Fuck yeah.
That was so calculated on their part.
And I love that. And I love that. But just like what you were saying, Ben, is the fact that it wasn't like they didn't need to. They needed just enough to be like, there's a Matt Murdock here. We don't need to see him like show up in the final act as Daredevil, like all costume up. Or like, no, we just got some Matt Murdock in there. He had a brief scene. It was great, and that's all we needed. We had a little Daredevil when he caught the brick. Good enough. That's all we needed. There. So so there was that. So that was the big one at first, of course. And then of course, he gets to Doctor Strange to do all that. And okay, is it me or this whole scene the first time we see Doctor Strange? Was this a reshoot? Because I was like I kept looking at Benedict Cumberbatch's like wig, and I'm like, it doesn't look as good as it does in the rest of the movie. It doesn't. I don't know if it was a reshoot.
Because
it looks different.
But that scene has been in the since the first trailer.
But it's very different in the trailer, because the trailer leads you to believe that Wong is like, don't do this, you can't do the spell. And in the movie, he's just like, I'm leaving.
All right, I'm out.
Keep me out of this.
He's always totally different tone. Wong is always leaving. Every time something happens, I got this other thing. It's like,
it's about to go sideways.
They didn't make a movie about him. And where the fuck do you go every time?
Listen, either that or at least a Disney Plus show. Like, give Wong a show.
Adventures of Wong.
I'll watch that show, please. Like, interwoven. Like, what the hell is he doing?
I mean, considering that Doctor Strange is in the rarefied air of movies that I like in Phase 3, like when I count on my fingers how many movies I like, it's a very small list, and Doctor Strange makes the list.
I always said he was the all-star in Infinity War. My God, was he?
But also never a fan of this character. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but I'm saying, but him and his cast of characters. So when they show up in these other films, like Wong, it's like, oh, cool. I like they're a supporting cast. I like to see because, I like that movie.
But he has moved, like his stock has risen so much. I mean, on my book, because I'll never care for for that character. Nor in the comics, whenever he showed up on the Spider-Man cartoon, like, what the fuck is this guy? I never care for him.
We don't want a wizard. A wizard?
Yeah, like, come on. And now I don't know if it's Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch has a big part to do with it, I think.
Yeah, because I'm enamored with his character. Like, I'm like, he has become like my favorite MCU superhero. Like, he's there with Spider-Man, so I was so glad to see them together.
It's just because he's such a good actor.
Yeah, he is. Like, that scene at the end where where we're gonna get to.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, I mean it's I mean that's one of the things. I mean, because the only thing I really, I mean, the first time I got acquainted with Cumberbatch was it wasn't of course Sherlock Holmes, which I need to watch because I really do want to see.
Yeah, you do.
Yes, I know, Scott. I know you were gonna say that, but it was, my first thing was when he was Khan,
Yes.
I mean, it was funny too because when that all happened, and just just listening to his voice and everything. My dad, who is a Star Trek fan ever since he was a kid, I was like, I bet him a 12-pack of Corona. I said, I bet you that's Khan. And he was like, no, it's not. No, it's not. And it was so funny too, watching that movie with him, because there was a moment like when we started to unravel, all of a sudden he went, oh shit. It's like, I heard him go, oh. I'm like, I elbowed him. I'm like, I'm right, aren't I? He goes, I think you are. I'm like, yes.
Okay. Dave, thank you for bringing this up, because it just takes me back to how I felt, me being the huge Trekkie that I am. It was one of those cases, and it was the first time I remember the director and the actors flat out lying to us.
Yeah.
Alice Eve and J.J. Abrams and Carl Urban all said repeatedly, he is not playing Khan. And when the movie starts, he has a different name. He does all this. And so the movie gets going and things just start happening. And if you know the lore, if you've seen Space Seed, if you've seen Wrath of Khan, you're just sitting there like, there's no fucking way he's not. This character, he has to be like, how could he not be this character? And so I'm no joke, when he says, like, when he gets to that point where he's like, my name is Khan, all of the fear just hit me. I'm like, oh God, it's real. Please don't suck. Please don't suck. Please keep going, And it was awesome. Listen, I loved it. Into Darkness is a fantastic film, and it's an incredible tribute to Wrath of Khan. But like, just the whole anticipation of like being a fan and like seeing the Easter eggs, and like the moment your dad had, it was literally I had the exact same moment. Oh yeah, shit, it's him.
And it was even before I was like going, am I right? But all of a sudden he just was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I was like,
well, and that right. And so I remember Ray specifically, because you've been kind of poo-pooing on my parade leading up to No Way Home, which is kind of vindicating right now. I'm just not gonna lie.
I haven't been poo-pooing it. It's just that No Way Home had a more like the trailers like got you more hype. The trailers, I was flat meh on the trailers. I was like,
you
whatever.
were. Yeah,
because part of it is just all of the think tank wouldn't stop. Right. And Marvel, as far as marketing, they need to take some lessons from their marketing. Don't put trailers out with clips that are clearly edited so that people can freeze frame and figure shit out on their own, because they did that the entirety of this. When you see Lizard getting punched and nothing's punching him. Oh,
they took the shit out like 3 days later.
Right. And when
you beautiful marketing for that. Yeah.
The shot where he's in the pose, but clearly there's a lot of space in between to the left and the right of him. It's like, guys, seriously, do better next time. The think tank wouldn't stop with what.
Oh, I know. But you almost think that they just kind of just did that for like, hey, we're just gonna let them go for it. I don't know if it was, I mean, I would love to be a fly on the wall when they talked about the marketing of this movie, because I mean, obviously they were gonna be like, all right, we're gonna show Jamie Foxx as Electro, we're gonna show Defoe, we're gonna show Melina kind of gave it away. I mean, fucking Jamie Foxx gave it away like over a year ago when he
we knew he was gonna be in the movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that he wasn't blue. So that was one of the things I wanted to ask you guys. How did you guys feel like about his transition of not being the blue Electro from Amazing Spider-Man?
I feel as
the
though
bigger question
Yeah,
is,
Anthony,
how
go
the
ahead.
fuck-
Go ahead, Anthony.
I
sorry.
feel as
Go ahead.
though he was like, I ain't taking the role if I look like I did. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's in Amazing Spider-Man 2. I feel he literally was like, I'm not looking like that dude.
I'm not going to
So-
sit in a makeup chair for 4 hours. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I think that was probably the stipulation of it, but yeah, that's what I think. I liked it. It didn't bother me at all. Because I'm not too sure. I didn't really like him in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 that much.
Yeah.
But for this one, I not just him as Electro. I'm talking about him as what's his his name leaves me right now. What's
Max
his character?
Dillon.
Yeah.
Dylan, yeah.
I didn't like him as Max, and you know what I'm saying. So like, I think he probably said, "I don't want to be out here with I'm balding and all of this. I'll do it, but you're gonna have to make some changes." That's what I think it is. But y'all can go ahead.
I liked the idea. Well, one in Amazing Spider-Man 2, because by the way, I did a complete rewatch of the legacy films leading up to this.
And he asked me, he's like, "Will I be rewarded with a full rewatch?" And I very carefully said, "Yes, you would." So
And I was already
said.
in the middle of the full rewatch. I was just like, by the way, am I wasting my time here, or is this good for me? And he was like, yes. I was like, good. So I just kept on the train, as you could watch me on my social media as I like ticked off every movie. But I mean, they show in Amazing Spider-Man 2 the fact that when he gets transformed, that it like fixes his teeth and stuff. So what I almost see is like when he shows up in this movie, he shows up in the distance as the blue version, but as he's absorbing the energy from this universe, it changes him. Like he even says it feels different here. Oh, look.
Like, it was nice too.
Like he looks at himself. So what I like is that the movie acknowledges, yes, we changed something, but if you're paying attention, we subtly and not so subtly like explained why. And that's what I liked about it, was they made changes, but there was always a reason. They backed it up. They always gave a reason for the change. And you won me over with that. It's like, cool, you changed his appearance, but you had a reason for it. Cool.
And mind you, like when he first shows, it almost like he is kind of blue, but then all of a sudden it changes
as
like,
he's absorbing the electricity.
Yeah. So like it was almost like, hey, remember he was blue, but now not so much. And and that's that was good. And speaking of that scene too, like obviously Peter got some stuff on his costume that he couldn't get off. And it was funny too, because people even said it, but I remember I even said it too. I'm like, is the black and gold suit, is that just his suit inside out? And then sure enough,
you saying that. I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
I'm like, so that whole suit, I mean, it's cool looking, whatever. And then of course he's got the thing that Doctor Strange gave him to zap these guys into what was that area called in the Sanctum Center? Like, what was that called? Like, where they captured everybody?
I've just been calling it a dungeon this whole time.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to.
It's a good dungeon, but no, but
I love it when they go, "You're literally in a wizard's dungeon." I just call a spade. I love, there was they had such great interaction between MJ and Ned and Peter in this movie. Like I felt like
way better than all the other movies.
Yes,
yeah.
This movie also, by the way, look at the writing credits. Only 2 people credited on this movie, unlike the other movies that have like
6 or 7.
Yeah,
and it shows. When you have a
contained group, like just 2 people that are just
better.
Because I've always had a problem with the whole MJ and Peter relationship. I'm like, I don't feel it. I don't feel it like I felt with Garfield and Stone, and then of course Kirsten Dunst and Toby. I don't feel the same. But in this one, I was like, finally, I'm starting to feel something here. Thank you. It took a little bit, but hey.
I also feel like they let Watts like be Watts in this movie. I really because there were things he was doing visually in this movie he did not do in either Homecoming or Far From Home, and I'm like, okay, they turned you loose. Good.
Yeah,
Marvel
he gave Derrickson run for his money, because all that Doctor Strange, I was like, holy shit, this is Watts.
Well, that was the craziest thing too, because Watts had such an unenviable task as a director with this movie, and it just makes his whole work so much more impressive, because not only is he bringing his own stuff into what he's already done from the first 2 movies, he's also got to blend in several other movies into this aesthetic, and the Doctor Strange part in particular, where they're in the mirror dimension and the out of body stuff. It's like
that's Derrickson.
Right. He even understood, Watts even understood how that looked and felt and brought it into this movie, and it was seamless.
Made it work. Yep.
Yes, I think that's like you said. It was seamless. It was like I believed that this fit in with what I saw Derrickson do with Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
right.
And then the fact that the way that Peter defeated him by using geometry, I love that.
That was good.
I mean, my God, it was just like, okay, I was like going, how is Peter gonna like defeat a wizard who's like you're like out of your element, you're in a mirror dimension, and how are you gonna be able to defeat this? And then when it all broke apart and he saw it all, and it was like, oh, and then I was like, oh, it's like and he just started doing. I was like, it's just okay. This is fucking Spider-Man. Of course, he would use math.
He would fucking defeat a wizard.
Yes,
he's
about to go to MIT. He will figure this shit out.
Yeah. By the way, I was talking to Ray about Matrix and how there was a lot of blinking you miss it stuff, and like how there's like quick cuts and stuff that you can see. And he said there's some stuff like this in No Way Home. First thing I spotted. Actually, there were two things I spotted first. One, in the opening scene where him and MJ are trying to get away from the news, and I see the Roosevelt Island car going.
Oh, nice!
Because that's from Toby's first movie. Because that's where Green Goblin basically makes him choose between. That's the car he's dropping, and he dropping MJ.
Oh.
And then when they're on top of the roof, there's all that tagging. And one of the tagging says Ditko in the back.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I did see that.
Yeah, it was on the van too. I think
it was on the van too.
Right?
Yes,
it was on that van, and I even went like that. I don't know.
And that's special because not only do you have Ditko, who co-created Spider-Man, he's also the full creator or the principal creator of Doctor Strange.
There you go.
Strange was a Ditko creation.
Yeah,
nice.
It's all there, man. But when we get to that, I mean, we finally get to see the conclusion of the bridge. My God, how many times we saw that fucking bridge?
You know what though? Dave? This is where context is everything. Whenever we see these clips outside of the movie, because all of us are like, how much this movie's on the damn bridge? And my whole thing was, okay, how do they get to the bridge? And in story, I actually appreciated the mechanism for how we got on the bridge.
Because Peter trying to get to the MIT woman,
right? Totally appreciate. So I was like, oh, so as soon as he got there, I was like, oh, she's on the bridge. Okay, all right,
yeah. I mean, they did a good job with taking the story to okay, that whole which we all collectively said, that was a great way to drive the story, I guess you could say, to this crazy story that we got, is the fact that, why does he get on the bridge? Oh, because he's trying to track down the MIT lady who's going to accept people and whatnot. And, it just kind of shows you that Peter's like, oh, it's my friends, these guys. I mean, just because they know me doesn't mean you need to say, just not accept them. So that's what was great. But then, as soon as that happened, as soon as he was on the bridge, I'm sure you guys felt like I did. I'm like, it's all coming. It's coming now. It's all going to be happening.
I really do love Alfred Molina as.
Oh God.
Yeah, me too.
And so it was like, come on, here it's. Actually, it was because who else is going to show up, or is it because I remember seeing the pumpkin bomb on the bridge from the trailer,
right?
So I was like, how many are we already going to be fighting now?
Yeah. Well, and this goes into even more of, because directors, like, a big part of their job is handling the actors. Like, that's primarily the part of their job, handling the actors on set. And you had to deal with Molina and Dafoe and Fox and everybody else, and basically okay, you guys are awesome actors, but you haven't played these characters in 15, 20, however long it's been. Get back into inhabit how you, Molina, how you played Ock 17 years ago or however long it was. Tap back into that. Same with Dafoe, as far as tapping back into that. for Norman and everybody. And so that's because it has to be authentic from what you previously saw it. So when he shows up and he sounds, like the power of the sun and all
in my
that.
hands.
Right. And I'm like, dope. That's him.
And how good was the de-aging? The de-aging was fucking great in this. I didn't notice it. I didn't notice it like, in other movies.
I didn't either.
I thought it was great. I don't know what you guys do. Yeah.
I honestly, they de-aged them. Would be my question.
I wasn't paying attention to that.
Exactly.
I didn't catch it truthfully.
They I mean, obviously, when it comes to Defoe, like he's always had that look to him, unless you see him in the 20s. Which
I don't think any of them look bad today. But I didn't notice the aging.
No, it was not noticeable at all. So I thought they did a fantastic job when it came to the de-aging portion of that. But yeah, just seeing like when and it's funny too, because I said it before too, is like when you see Doc Ock show up. Even though we saw the trailer a million times and hello Peter and ever, I mean, it still got such a cheer.
Oh yeah,
But after that whole sequence, which was great, and I loved the different. I mean, Watts again showed some, even though the Peter and the Iron Spidey suit always is a little wonky.
It's always a little wonky.
It just never feels fluid. I don't know why they can't seem to get it to a point where it doesn't feel like, that's just all fucking mocap CGI, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
But it was still a decent scene. And then, when you saw that pumpkin bomb, oh man, the theater not only cheered. I mean, it was just like, yes, come on, And then when you see him appear, holy shit! When you see Goblin appear, oh my god. It was like, wow. It was wow.
I also think it's hilarious how one of the biggest criticisms of the Green Goblin has been that stupid mask.
Yes.
And the movie immediately deals with it.
Yeah.
And how beautiful was that? Like he's in an alleyway, it's propped up, and Defoe is doing the thing again where he's talking to it.
So it's like it's propped up in his chair in the first movie. Yes. I'm like, he's talking to the mask.
I remember some parallels with Spider-Man when he got rid of the suit and left it in the trash.
Thank you. Yes.
I think that's what Watts was going for.
The Spider-Man No More.
I said that in our when Brent and I were talking reviewing this for Fans Without Borders. I brought that up. It felt totally like Spider-Man No More. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I mean, even like in Spider-Man 2, where he just walks away and you have that beautiful shot of this, this costume still spilling out of the
Which Raimi was like, we're gonna get this Romita cover and we're gonna nail it.
But it's so funny. It's like when you look at it, it's like, you should really shove it into the trash can in real life, but it doesn't make for a good shot. It makes for a good shot when it's spilling out, but it made for a good shot where you just see that the broken mask and then he's just running away, and I'm like, oh man, good job. Thank you, John Watts, for doing something like that. And and then it just kind of went like, you don't need the mask anymore. And let's face it, man, when you get into those later scenes in this movie, are we glad that we just didn't have the mask anymore?
I also love the fact that the hood has the little pointy thing. I'm like, it's the classic Goblin costume.
Dude, I mean, they did such a good job of just because of what he was wearing when it gets later on and it gets kind of ripped up and destroyed. It just forms itself, and everybody's just going, you see what, dude? Look, it's happening. It's almost like that thing where you're like, it's happening. That's legit. Kind of thing right there. And
I think at one point they even had something that almost looked like he had little
ears,
goblin ears poking out.
So like you get to the point in the movie, and this is where because at this point, I'm sitting in the theater and this is where my expectations from going into the movie are just started to get torpedoed. I'm like, all right, where are we going with it? The first thing that hit me was the villains talking to each other in the dungeon. And I'm like, you guys are spending a lot of time talking and they're swapping stories. And the great thing about it is you are rewarded for having seen the other 5 movies because they are literally talking about what happened in the other movies.
I also love how the villains who know each other from their own universes.
Oh yeah,
it's like shop talk. It's like
the fact that Octavius is like, you're chasing a ghost. Norman Osborn is dead because he was
he
dead
already
at
died.
that point
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
movie.
Because that was a question with a lot of us. Was like, okay, how are they here when like we know that
Yeah.
somebody freaking died?
Like most of them are dead.
Those are two questions that I had. I'm like, okay, how are you gonna pick somebody from that universe at that specific time, and they coexist within the same universe? How does that work? You get what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
he picked Doc Ock, and by the time he picked him up, the Goblin was already gone
for 2
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
for 2 years exactly. So he do some time traveling at the same time.
Well, it's
you know what?
They
There's
explained in
a
the
good
movie,
question.
though.
I think it's because they were all grabbed at the point that they died.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Because
the
when they
thing-
start telling the stories, every time they told a story about, and then I was here, listen to them tell the story, and it's right up to the moment
when they're about to
before
die.
they died.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
and yeah, because like Octavius even says like it was pretty much the end of Spider-Man 2, or it's like where he talked about that, and it's just like and all of a sudden I was here, and then even with Electro, he was just like he was absorbing all this stuff, and all this thing happened, all of a sudden, boom, he was here, and it was funny too because a lot of people even talked about you watch Amazing Spider-Man 2 and you see how he goes out, you kind of go. Yeah, I could see him being zapped into a multiverse, like up into another universe out of that. So they kind of played on that pretty well.
Yeah, because like Octavius, it obviously is right before Peter convinces him, like before he finally like,
I'm not gonna die a monster.
I'm not gonna die a monster. It's right before the switch. Electro gives it. I mean, the only ones who you don't get stories are the people who didn't die, because Sandman doesn't die, Lizard doesn't die. These are guys who actually survived their movies.
But those are guys that actually knew who Spider-Man was.
Well, they all did. That's actually the
Electro know he's
Electro's the only one who doesn't know. Everyone else finds out in the movie.
That's everybody. Like that's where the continuity. It might be. It requires maybe a slight headcanon for him because we never saw him discern Peter's identity.
Yeah, no,
movies.
he didn't.
The other four totally did, but he didn't. So
the only thing that maybe you could get was because he teams up with Harry in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Well, Harry doesn't even know. That doesn't work either because Harry finds out.
Harry found out, right?
Harry finds out the last minute because when Gwen runs out of the power station that he goes,
right before he killed her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which?
Oh man.
Oh
yeah.
God.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Well, so somebody brought, when I was talking about the trailer cutting, somebody brought that up in the chat where he didn't think they should have put that shot in the trailer either because so many people were guessing that was going to happen.
Oh yeah, it's funny if anybody's trying to claim that, it's like no, everybody thought that.
Well, no, because I even had to explain to Heather. I was like, no, Heather, you gotta understand. Spider-Man love interest falling from a height. That means shit to a Spider-Man fan.
Yeah, let's just face it. It's all happened, especially in the movies. It really and it's all like it's not all. Of course, been a great conclusion. I guess.
Roy Thomas, I think, pretty much said I love the story that I read that they did that when Stan Lee was out of pocket, and he came back, and of course he loves to tell Stan Lee would tell the story like, oh yeah, we had this. I'm like, no, that they did that when Stan Lee couldn't veto it, and Stan Lee just had to roll with it afterwards.
Oh man,
wow. Well,
okay. So how far are we? We're talking about the villains, and then it was cool to see. Obviously you got Lizard, you got Sandman, and it's interesting seeing them all kind of like you said. And then of course we get the line of Osborn saying, "I'm kind of a scientist myself."
It
was a little too on the nose, but it's fine.
There was some on the nose stuff here, but I was forgiving it. But no, like this one of the things, because you're getting to the part where he takes them back to Happy's condo. But this also gives me an opportunity to bring this up, which is one of the criticisms that people have had and I've had about MCU Spider-Man is you cast Marissa Tomei as Aunt May and you really haven't done much with her at all. And Watts was like, let's fix that. in the last movie. And because really it's her like inkling, like, because Peter is totally unstrained, decide like, let's just hit the button and send them all back. And she's like, no, help them, cure them so that you're not just sending them back to die. And that's where, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is the most she's spoken in one scene in 3 movies or 4 movies. She was in Civil War. So it's like, all right, good. Continue, keep that going. And so, right. And so and you get to the condo part. And again, I love how organic the callbacks are, because Peter's whole thing is, I'm going to fix what is wrong with you. And literally it wasn't like they got lazy with the script and just said, well, let's find problems with him that he's got to fix. No, it's the actual problems they had in the other movie. The first thing he does with Akka is like, okay, your inhibitor chip burned out. Let's fix it. I'm like, yes, exactly.
Yes. It's like, let's drain the electricity out of Electro.
Yeah. And what was also funny too is a lot of people when we saw the first we saw Jamie Foxx as this new Electro, we saw what we saw. And everybody was going like, "Oh, is his version going to be like another disgruntled Tony Stark, employee?" Thank God, no.
What I love is because he's like because being electrical, he sees the arc reactor. He's like,
and he's like,
that's all
I want that.
He's like, oh, that's like unlimited, huh? You know that. I mean, because essentially what he, his. What happened to him is it's a drug. It's a fucking drug. And when you see something that will give you unlimited of that drug, of course he's going to be like, yeah. Can I have that, please? Jeez.
Well, I also thought it was interesting. This is a moment I wanted to say. It was really interesting that apparently there were 2 actors who just did not want to be on set. It's like, I'll give you a day, because you get that when Sandman is sand. Almost the entire movie. It's like, okay, Thomas Hayden Church did not want to be on set for that.
It was basically somebody else who did mocap, but he did the voice, right?
Yes, exactly. And then the same thing with, and God help me, I cannot remember the name.
Rise Evans, I think.
There you go.
It was the lizard.
I always remember him as the kicker in The Replacements.
Yes.
Totally.
That's the role that I always remember him.
I'm wiry.
Always where I remember him. It's just like, oh yeah, he was the kicker on Replacements. When anybody goes, who is that? I'm like, did you watch Replacements? Remember the kicker? Oh yeah.
So I mean, so you feel like they probably had to grab him, like, because he gets cured at the end of Amazing Spider-Man. So that was probably one where they grabbed him like right before, Peter threw the serum into the Grinaldi device. Yes, you can tell I've watched the movies recently, because I thought that was interesting. I guess for me, just as a movie watcher, I was like, okay, this is me knowing how the sausage is made. It's like, we're gonna have these 2 in CGI form because we just want to do voice recording.
Anthony, what are you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just saying. I think with Jamie Foxx was funny in this movie. Like, it's a couple of things he said didn't miss for me. Especially when he was just like, y'all gonna stand there like I ain't just butt ass naked. That shit was funny.
Yes.
And another
I thought that was funny.
Another part that I thought was funny was just, it was kind of weird. Him and Peter sitting there, he's like, yo, them your Legos right there. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? And nobody, after he said that, nobody said anything. He was just like, yeah, I don't know. And Peter just kept talking about what he was going to do to him. I thought that shit was funny too. But I thought he was good comic relief in the movie. And none of it was like, with a movie like this, with all of these interlocking pieces, it's easy for shit to feel forced. Didn't feel anything forced.
Nothing felt really forced, huh?
No. And the entire
maybe little things, but nothing like that one scene in Endgame.
No,
anyways.
Definitely not. I know exactly which one you're talking about too. That's my definition of force in a movie, is that scene. Yes.
Well,
could have been something that they could have done well, but that they didn't. With this one,
it doesn't bother me as much as it does others. But yes, it was definitely.
It doesn't bother me too. Like, I could still enjoy it, but at the same time, I'm like, You know,
Yeah.
But no,
when it feels organic, you have to make it feel organic, and it did feel organic.
well,
And a lot of these scenes where it's like, okay, yeah, we got that. Hey, look at that, we got Mr. Steven showing up.
Hey,
Steven.
What's up?
Steven. Yeah, you're late, so we're already done. Just kidding.
Parker!
Yeah, but we're just talking about the villains right now. We're just talking about all of them showing up, who showed up, who was on set, how they pulled it off. You know,
we were in the we were talking about the condo scene, and we're marveling at the fact that they actually did their homework enough to say, let's fix the actual problems that they have from their previous films.
Which I thought was like, I mean, I really thought that was cool. I was like, yeah, okay, this makes sense because they all had something that happened to them. So the fact that Peter was like, all right, let's, instead of just sending them back where they're gonna die, let's fix them before we do that. So his heart was definitely in the right place, which you know usually is the case. But then of course bad shit happens when that happens. But
it's the Parker luck.
Yeah, the Parker fuck. Man,
and to that end, like, and that's the thing. Like when you get to, first of all, that there are two things about this. One, Watts is more of the visual stuff he did in this movie. What he did with the Spidey sense in this movie.
Oh yeah, the Peter Tingle.
Yeah.
The Peter Tingle.
No, it's the Spidey sense. It's the fucking Spidey sense. I hate.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, I hate that Peter.
Well, and he had Toby and Andrew call it too. They're like, yeah, the tingle, like
right,
yeah. When they joked about that, yeah.
But
yeah, they did a good job with that. It was literally like he would just kind of like go.
The best one is where he like detected Norman, like, because he's surrounded by like all of these supervillains, and May is there, and he's he uses it like you're at that point now where it's like, okay, we've been waiting for him to develop this, and Far From Home, a lot of that was about him developing it, but now it's literally like at full strength, like he knows how to control this thing now, and he singles Norman out, and that's when all the hell breaks loose, and that's when it gets into essentially what was it, and it got to that point. This is where I was watching the visual language of the camera, and I'm like, he was putting her in too many specific angles. I'm like, you're gonna kill her.
I know.
You're gonna kill her.
Yeah. Well, and also the fact that she was the one that was so insistent on like, you have a response. She didn't say that until like the responsibility line until later, but she was very big on like, you can't. He was like, it's not my problem. They're not my problem.
It's not what we do.
And she was like, no, she's like, no, that's not what we do. And I was like, they are really putting a lot of effort into making her be the one that's like, no, we are going to take all these villains into this apartment. And I was like,
well, and I will give. I said this. I will give Kevin Feige and the MCU, like Marvel Studios, I will give them a lot of credit for sticking to their guns on this whole Uncle Ben thing within the MCU. It's pretty.
Sticking to their guns would imply that this was what they were planning on doing from
the
start.
Not that. I don't mean that. Stephen, I don't mean that. What I mean is they didn't change course. Like people were complaining about it, and they didn't all of a sudden decide to pivot. They just dove head first and went, "No, our Aunt May is his Uncle Ben in the MCU." Which is exactly what she is at this point.
Yeah. I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Which,
and then
I saw some people complaining about that too. As like, you're still forgetting Uncle Ben. I'm like, the problem is never. I shouldn't say never because he has a role, but it was never so much that like Uncle Ben was being deprived of that role. It was that nobody was filling those shoes at all.
Yeah,
exactly. Even Tony Stark being
you had
Ben
Martin
isn't
Sheen.
inherently a problem, other than the fact that Tony Stark just can't provide that same lesson to him. Because the nature of Tony Stark's relationship to him and the lessons that he's going to teach him are not going to be the dying as a consequence of something that Peter was doing. And
you can't tell somebody to be responsible with their power when you've been categorically irresponsible with it for 13 years.
Right.
So
exactly. And so that was always the problem. There was less so the like, specifically that there was a character named Uncle Ben in his life, so much like they could have had Uncle Ben and had him never say that and it would have been just as egregious. So the fact that they are able to fill that hole in his like origin story, I think was one of the best parts about what they did, because they took a Spider-Man where people were like, okay, he has the look, he has the suit, He has the powers, he has the personality, but it's just not quite. He's just doing. He never had that arc, and I don't know how. And I even said like, I don't know how they could ever get him to that point. And then this movie was like, oh yeah, no, we can get him to that point. We just gotta. There's a little bit further.
Kill Aunt May.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Oh man, and yeah, we're getting to that point too. Where it's like when all the, I mean, and that's what I love about the Norman Osborn character is the fact that it's like, all right, did he like? And I love the fact that they established like, okay, he crushed the mask, and we all think, okay, maybe Norman's kind of breaking through, because then we had that scene with Aunt May and him, which was cool, and it was like just the way that Norman says, he's like, yeah, I just all of a sudden I was here, and then he talks about like, and I don't even exist, and
I know. I thought it was interesting that we established there is no Oscorp, in
no
the
Oscorp
MCU.
at all. And I'm kind of going like, all right, how does, because that's pretty significant when it comes to the Spidey lore, is like Oscorp. I mean, we've seen it, of course. It's when you watch the Morbius trailer, that's obviously shown like a fucking 100 times. I was like, I don't know how many movies I've watched where that trailer's been there. We're finally going to see it next month. But you see the building there. So it's like, all right, we could cut out the fact that Morbius is not in Tom Holland's universe. But yeah, he established the fact that it's like he basically is non-existent, and and it's kind of you kind of just go like, all right, so what's going to be happening here? But of course, yeah, the twist is, guess what? It's not Norman. He's it's Goblin that's been kind of puppet. Yeah.
Which I love, because traditionally Green Goblin has been my favorite Spider-Man villain. Has always been my favorite Spider-Man villain. I think. You remember, Steven, when I was talking about on that last vodka stream about how when I did a rewatch of the first Spider-Man movie, it didn't quite hold up for me as I remembered it. And I think I always held it in higher regard because it's got Goblin. And Goblin has always been like my guy.
Is Norman, is Goblin pretty much his Joker?
Yes.
As far as villains,
because especially set up for the fact that in the comics they eventually learn who each other are.
Yeah.
And then the only thing is that Goblin is always remembered because he killed Gwen Stacy. And then interestingly enough, in the comics, he kills Gwen Stacy and then he literally dies the next issue. So like the way you see him die in Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire, that's how he goes out in the comics. But it's literally the issue after we kill Gwen Stacy in this issue, and then we kill Goblin in the next issue.
Man, crazy.
And then what happens is that just like what you see, Harry becomes
Hobgoblin.
He doesn't become he just becomes Green Goblin too.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, because Hobgoblin is another criminal, right? Like Roderick.
Yes,
I always thought it was Harry. Oh man.
No. Hobgoblin is actually Ned.
Ned, doesn't Ned at some point? Yeah, Ned at some point.
Right.
Which would make that scene hilarious.
Okay. So about Ned, because we're at that, we're getting to that point as well.
Yeah.
About Ned. Do we make anything out of the fact that there's that one throwaway line about how his Nana said that they have magic and sometimes his fingers get tingly, and it's like, okay, whatever. But this dude can control sling rings, and at one point later in the movie, like, has the cloak on. Are we making anything out of that?
I think they're hinting at something when it comes to that.
Although
I
made less out of the line as like a canon tease, so much as just like sure that stuff happened, but that line was kind of setting up like the importance to him. So that we knew, like, oh no, he's like geeking out over this stuff, less so than it being like, oh no, they said he's got magic in his family, therefore we know that he could go down this route. It didn't seem as like structurally relevant so much as just like character kind of motivation to me. But,
because you don't have to have magic in you. I mean, we watched a whole movie where Stephen Strange learns how to do it. Like, magic is something that you can learn how to do.
Right. Yeah. I get that. It's just that when the line because Strange, like says like go to the doctor, see a doctor,
Consult your
something about it
physician.
later.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
so, like it's a throwaway line, but then later on in the movie, it's like, well, no, he has your rings and he can open portals.
Right.
So maybe that wasn't that much of a throwaway line as far as his character.
No, but
is
was
going.
the line necessary in order for that? Like, if he had never,
I don't
said
think
that,
the line was
If
necessary.
he had
No,
never
but
said
it's
that, and then
just
he'd used the sling ring. Would we have been like, nope, Doctor Strange said, and
no. I
like,
well, no, someone on Twitter would have, but you know,
Yeah.
but
No.
Yeah, but we get to the point. Yes, I mean, first off, Jesus Christ, and I've been seeing some clips of it recently. Is the fact that man. Okay, so obviously with Defoe, Goblin, and just kind of fucking everybody over, and then oh man, when Aunt May gets hit, I immediately went, oh shit. I was
I
when
did
she got
too.
hit.
well,
When she got hit,
Yeah.
I was like, I immediately all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's
Mhm.
yep, it's going there, it's
Well,
fucking
and-
going there.
and
God
they
damn
made it worse because again, like I said, they gave finally they're like Marissa Tomei act be Oscar
She was trying-
be Oscar winner, and she was like being with great power comes great responsibility line is her
Oh man,
keeping it together, knowing it's over, but
Yeah.
she's not going to convey that to him.
it was
in
also
this
nice
moment.
too.
my
because,
God,
like,
the cheers that line got on my theater was like
That was
Yeah,
that,
mine
that was
too.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
that was my
Yeah,
that was my very loud about damn time in the theater.
Yeah.
Three people
Yeah.
three
Well, I figured
people
that-
looked at me when I said it.
Yeah.
I also
No,
like
no,
the fact that was it's very realistic. Isn't always like the best for these situations because
No.
you know, like when someone dies, they shit themselves. You don't want to see that in every movie, but but still, there's an element of like her acting that way when she got hit by the glider was very realistic. Of like, she was partially hiding it, but also like people will get like lose limbs and like the shock sets in and they don't even
Yep,
realize.
that's-
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so her
That's
being
true.
driven through with a glider like that, and she's like, I just got the wind knocked out of me. I don't even know if she was fully aware of what happened so
Yeah.
much as thought legitimately like, oh, I got an impact and didn't even look down. It wasn't until Peter is like, oh, there's blood, because she didn't seem to know, because then he was telling her like,
Yeah.
no, you're fine, we're just gonna get you to the doctor.
God damn, that was brutal.
And how brutal was the fight that he and Goblin had
dude,
in the first
Bruh,
place?
they went
Oh, that was a fucking wrestling match.
It's like so many people were like, I didn't realize he was that strong. And it's like, go back and watch the first
Yeah.
movie. He's basically a super soldier.
Yeah.
He's basically got
Well,
his
the
own
first
serum.
one didn't show
That's what the
this-
serum
this-
is. The serum
Yeah,
is super
but
soldier
the first
serum.
one doesn't show as visceral as it shows in this movie. In this
No,
movie
it's
show.
No, you're right, man. It is much stronger here, but he still
Yeah.
had it.
No,
But yeah, no, he's still
I
there.
would argue go back and watch the final fight between Goblin and Toby at the end, like when they're on the Roosevelt Island and they are beating the absolute crap
Shit
out
out
of
of
each
each
Yeah,
other.
there's
other.
Oh,
one wall
I
that
know.
they went through in that fight scene. Here they went through like 3 stories.
No,
through-
Yeah, dude.
No,
The floors.
Ben is
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
He's punching him through floors like BVS
Yeah.
warehouse style.
Oh
in
my
this- in
God,
this
I
movie,
mean-
seriously.
I mean, when he was unleashed, man, oh my God, it was just.
And it
When you
was nice to
feel
have
that.
a moment like that in a Marvel movie too, where it like let you linger.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
they let us grieve Aunt May, and they let
Yeah.
Peter
Mhm.
grieve Aunt May, and it's not like
that's
like
the Sony part of the movie.
a death that's like that serious. It's not like they always punctuate those with jokes or transition to something lighter, like right away. But of the rare times that they like actually let that moment sit, and this was one of
Dude.
the like.
Dude, the shot of Holland
Happy?
Spider-Man, and then he's in front of the screen where J. Jonah Jameson is
Oh,
just
the billboard.
oh my God. I mean, that was like, you could frame that and be like, yeah, that's a
Beautiful.
Spider-Man shot right there, where Peter, after losing his aunt, it's raining, and he sees
Mhm.
this big screen with J. Jonah Jameson still
Talking
just
shit.
talking
Just
shit.
fucking
Just
talking,
talking
shit.
shit.
Yeah.
Still.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, I was like, good Lord, that is, yeah, and I've seen some people post that shot. I'm like, God damn, that is a beautiful fucking
That
shot right
He's
there.
acting, he's
on
acting.
that
One
last
of-
poster.
Oh,
Yeah, his acting performance in this
Oh, yeah.
movie.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
he
yeah,
has
Holland,
grown.
yes.
He has done all these other roles. I don't remember the name of that he did Netflix.
Oh, you talking
Devil-
about
Um,
The
oh,
Devil,
the
the
one
Devil
with
all the
Pat
time.
Devil
right?
all the time?
Devil
Devil
All the
All the
Time,
Time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there, his performance was amazing. I was like, this kid can act.
No,
And
Tom Holland can
he-
act, but he's
It's
getting
because-
stranglehold.
Well,
Yeah.
it's about giving him moments to emote, and that was the thing that I realized, like with Eternals, and partly with the reaction to that also, is how often in a Marvel movie, when there's some sort of emotion happening, where they'll be like, I need you to explain what's happening, and then it'll be like delivered through exposition. Whereas like Eternals, for example, they would just like put the camera on them and be like, just express some feelings, and like that's how we'll tell the story, right? And they did a little bit, this had like lots of talking in it, but lots of moments where they were like, Tom, just go ahead and emote. Like, here's a camera, emote.
There was definitely a lot of like emotionally loaded coverage that was shot for this movie, for sure.
Oh, I know. And like the whole time you got this lump in your throat, and like seeing his face in the rain and stuff like that, you're just like, holy shit. I mean, it was just getting so much.
And so this is the point where, like, because again, like I said, like I had that whole preconceived idea of how much time everybody was going to get, and at this point, it's already been blown apart as far as the villains are concerned. So now I'm like, okay, the third act of the movie is starting.
Yes,
and I know that they're about to show up. Holy shit, we're about to get them for the whole third act of this movie.
Yeah, and I was like, I was going, okay, what's gonna happen here? Are they gonna like save his ass, or something like that? Are they gonna show up in their Spidey costumes? Like, how are they gonna do it? And now we go back to Ned and MJ, where they're at Ned's house, and I'm kind of going like, all right, so, all right, okay, so Ben will be right back. He's got to put the baby to bed, but so yeah, we're back at where MJ and Ned are, and then. I was like, okay, we're doing coverage on them. And then as soon as like Ned was like doing something, and then all of a sudden there was like a little flicker.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, this is how they're going to do it. I'm like, at first I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, but
but it made sense though, because the whole point is they're sitting there waiting for Peter to give them any type of like message, like, cause they haven't heard from him, and they're sitting there like, if you don't hear from me, hit the button, but they don't want to hit the button. They're like trying to find where he is.
Oh yeah, even MJ was like, I'm gonna hit the button. And she was
right.
Yeah.
And so he's not answering cell phone. So literally it turns into, we need to find him. Oh, I can do this. Let's use that to find him. And it half worked. And it just organic. It just again organic. It made sense. They were trying to
find Peter Parker.
Right. Yeah. And the first one they find, and it was funny too, because when he did that, and then all of a sudden you have an alleyway and you're seeing a Spider-Man, and I was like,
I knew it.
I was like, immediately
I saw the suit.
I saw the suit. I'm like, that's him. That's
Andrew. Oh man, it was so perfect. And he was just like, hey, he was kind of like, okay, God, my God, why is he's so good.
He is so good.
He's so charismatic. And when he shows up, and then it was funny too, because my theater cheered, and then all of a sudden when he just takes off the mask and you see him, everybody like literally almost gave a standing ovation.
Yeah,
it was like,
same in my theater.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh man, it was just, I don't know. There's just something about it. That's why, he is my favorite. I don't know who you guys.
No, he's my favorite.
I'm a Toby guy.
I honestly, I have love for all of them. Here's the thing: is that like I was telling Ray this because I was giving Ray some hot takes. It's like I saw Amazing Spider-Man 2 in theaters, and when I saw it, I'd already heard all the hate. And because I saw Amazing Spider-Man and like I was like, okay, it's fine, it's okay. I saw Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I was like, I really enjoy this movie. I don't understand why everyone hates this movie so much. And then on my rewatch, I'm like, no, damn it, I really like Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like it really works for me more so than Amazing Spider-Man 1. And
really interesting.
Yes, I'm not following him there, but
No, but there's something about Andrew. There's just something about him. And it was funny. Like it was a great scene because, and this is where like MJ's like distrusting everybody, which I thought like, okay, it was a little overdone with like the previous movies, but with this one, she was just like, "What the fuck is this? You're not Peter." And then she literally like throws something at him.
Rolls.
The bread.
Yeah, right. The roll. Yeah.
Roll, yeah.
But then I love the fact that he's like, and then he just leaps up and just hangs on the ceiling, like with his fingertip.
Well,
and he's all, "This is not enough."
And even the way that he did it, it's just that's the way he would do it.
That was his physicality. Going back to the homework, that was Andrew's physicality in the Amazing movies. Because he was long and lanky.
Yes,
so
he's the tall one. He's the tall one because Toby and Tom are short, but you got this 6 foot, like 2 or 3, Andrew Garfield, and the other 2 are like 5'8" or 9 or whatever the hell. And it's just, I know it was just great. And then I just love the fact that you have like Ned's mom too. And but the whole time, obviously, when you're watching this scene, everybody's going, "Where's Toby? Where's Toby?" And then we're welcoming Steven back. And then as soon as he goes, "Find Peter Parker," we're like, "Oh, it's coming." And then I love the fact that they're like, "We're not going to have Toby in the Spider-Man costume. He's just going to be wearing like."
Cool youth pastor. I love that.
That was a great line.
Well, and right, because again, like, there it is, and I've said this before. Like everybody, they've got to tap into who they were when they played the characters the last time they played them, and it was like no one missed a beat. Andrew was his Spider-Man. Toby was his Spider-Man. They're all. It's like we just haven't seen you guys in however long, but you've continued since the last time that we saw you.
Toby, I was like, wow, Toby nailed the awkwardness of his Peter.
Yeah.
I mean, because going back and rewatching the Raimi movies with Toby, it's like, he is awkward as hell. All 3 of those movies.
So awkward. So awkward. Yeah, because Andrew was kind of like, he was like awkward, but in like a different kind of sense, almost like a cool, like, he's like cool nerd. Look at him. He's got a skateboard and shit like that. And like he does like, I love that scene in Amazing Spider-Man 2 when they're at Oscorp and he has to distract those guys to get to Gwen to get out.
Yes.
And the fact, like when he does that, I love that. I love that because he's like, "Oops," and he's just like doing all this stuff, and he's like,
"Sorry, I'm all thumbs today."
Yeah, I'm all thumbs today. I love that scene. I'm like, yeah, because he just was that kind of suave, like cool version of Peter Parker.
He was geek chic. He was a very geek chic Peter Parker.
Geek chic. There you go. And some people don't like that, but I'm like, what? I mean, there's that.
I think the thing that I will say, there has never been a bad Spider-Man. Like all the Spider-Men, like they all have their own thing. And so when Toby walks in and he's in his normal clothes and he's older and he's but he's still like, "Hey guys,
hey.
What's going on?
I don't know what's going on, and then you have the interaction and in between. It's just like the whole time as just watching all these movies, you're just going, "Oh my god, this is fucking happening." We got Toby and
I loved it at the end. I was like, "Please make it a thing. Please make it a thing." And then when Toby shoots the web, and Andrew's like, "Where the hell did that come
from?" Okay. We'll get to that because like all right, because at this point it's like this is why this movie is so fucking good because organically speaking. So now, all right, they've hit us all with the nostalgia of Andrew and Toby are back, but we still got to find out where the fuck Holland is.
Yeah.
So it's like. All right, and so now they start helping. Like, where would he go?
And at this point, like I'm just going, "Oh, thank God they're not just gonna show up in like the final act for like just a time." We're actually gonna get some fucking scenes here. We're getting a scene right now.
We're getting live action Spider-Verse.
Yes. I mean, oh my God. And you know what?
Exactly what popped into my head.
Into the Spider-Verse for kind of setting that foundation of these Spider-Men that are like. Coming together and just having these awkward kind of conversations and fuck, man, it's just
I know what Steven was saying about like Marvel Studios not necessarily fully having a plan, and I totally get that, but I do think that Sony after Into the Spider-Verse, somebody had to be thinking, okay, what if we do this in live action? What will it take? What do we have to do?
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm almost certain of that. And this is it, right? Because that was the first thing that popped in my head. I'm like, this is now live action Into the Spider-Verse. Exactly what this is. And the great part about it is when they find Peter 1 on that rooftop. The great thing that they did in organic sense with this movie was first they had Ned and MJ go and embrace him first, because that's his friends from his universe, and then Toby and Peter come in, and this is where it turns in.
I gotta mention something before that. Ned's mom. She was so frightened. She was so frightened about like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man because he's in the full-on costume. Okay. But she was just like, what the hell? Like, but when Toby showed up, she was kind of like, oh, look at this guy, because he's just in normal attire. Yeah. He's got that face. And
I just love her. She's like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah. She was freaked out. And then she was like, and then even like, can you get the cobwebs? And then Andrew Garfield's like, all right. And he's just crawling on a roof and he just I don't know.
I loved it when when Andrew and Toby shot webs at each other, and she's like, "Please clean up the webbing." And Andrew immediately goes over and starts pulling the webbing off the table.
See, I mean, it's just little things that happen. But yeah, going back to the whole thing, where it's like, okay, so where would he be? What? Because and I like this aspect too. Is like, where does Peter Parker go when he needs to go and think? That's obviously going to be a high rise somewhere. It's going to be somewhere. And it's funny because both Toby and Andrew's Garfield, Spider-Man, just were like, oh yeah, mine was this. Mine was that.
Toby was the Chrysler building. Yes. Andrew was the Empire State Building.
And he's all better view. Yeah. And it was like, oh yeah. I love that. I love the fact that all three of them have their spot. When they have, when something is happening, they have their spot where they have to like, all right, I got to just like get away from everybody and think. And, I really love the fact that they had their different spots in New York City. It was pretty cool.
And so when they do approach him, and he's immediately like, don't tell me that you know how I feel. You don't know how this feels. And it leads into very organically, like Toby mentions Uncle Ben. So there it is. There's the Uncle Ben mention right there. He says it. But what I really like is that Uncle Ben was like his moment, but for Andrew, it wasn't. I mean, he and Andrew both had an Uncle Ben moment, but for Andrew, it was Gwen. And I like that they gave them both, because the thing is, like, yes, Andrew did have an Uncle Ben moment, but if we're being honest, the Gwen moment is much more powerful as far as like his arc and as far as his emotions and where he's at in his progression with respect to those movies. And the fact that they all had a different character, but a similar circumstance that they could relate to what Hollins is now going through with May Gone. That was that's where the synergy really started.
Oh, and let's talk about Andrew fucking acting his ass off when he's talking about Gwen.
Okay. Andrew's cry face, my God, anytime I see his like tear up cry face, I'm like,
it's even worse if you saw the thing he did when he was on Colbert the other day, like a couple weeks ago, talking about his mom. It's even worse if you've seen that video, because
I have not seen that, and I'll look it up, but I'm probably gonna fucking well up.
If you see him like talking about his real life stuff and like how he's dealing with it, and then you see his acting, you're just like, this dude's like.
I mean, that's one of the things going back to the why that I think Andrew is like, why I consider him my favorite. It's just, man. I mean, these guys could have just came in and phoned it in. They did not. At all. Toby and Andrew came in and put in the fucking work, especially Andrew, because just like the teary-eyed, the fucking, I mean, like you said, when and I love the fact that when you see their silhouettes, it's Andrew in his Spider-Man costume and it's Toby in his cool youth pastor. I love the fact that it was like he still stayed in that, because he does have a little moment later on. But yeah, I just love the fact that, man, like we got the line of, with great power comes great responsibility. And obviously they said that, they both said it. And man, it was just like that moment on that rooftop really was just like, all right, all three of these Spider-Men just totally just connected on a different level, where it was just like, whoa. And it was just a scene that was like every one of us wanted to see.
Yeah,
obviously.
Anthony, you were kind of gone there for a second. Yeah. Like, what were you? Feelings, thoughts? What's going on through your head, man, when you're watching this?
Well, I'll go back. First off, me and my wife went and saw it. which is crazy because in the last decade, movies it used to be midnight releases, then it moved up to like 7 o'clock. But I saw this movie at 3 o'clock on Thursday. Like that's the earliest I've ever seen them premiere movie.
Wow.
So 3 o'clock, dude, PM. I was like, yo, what the fuck? As soon as when I went to buy tickets, I was trying to find the earliest showing just to avoid spoilers and shit. So when shit started coming out, I would be well versed. But we caught the 3 o'clock showing, and it was crazy because I bought my ticket so early that I didn't notice the seating or whatever. So it's pretty much all assigned seating now, and theater slowly but surely. Then the shit was just full, like to max capacity. And I remember, like, obviously the channels that we travel. I mean, there was rumors of these dudes showing up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And my wife ain't heard shit. She'll watch the movies and shit. I think she's probably seen Zack Snyder's Justice League just once. You know what I'm saying? Like, she'll watch the movies with me and shit, but like she doesn't. So like she didn't know anything. So when obviously the first portal opens up and I saw Andrew's silhouette, immediately breath taken away, done. Like, oh my God, this shit is like because he's tall, slender.
I know. He's very noticeable.
Yeah. And I was like, his back was turned. I couldn't even see the spider on his back. I was just like, oh shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? And my wife didn't know anything. And he pops out and she still doesn't know anything. He pulls off there. She's like, oh wow. And it was like cool to just be sitting with someone who literally had zero like knowledge of rumors or anything. Just be like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh man. And then Toby came through. Dude, first off, Andrew came through as soon as he jumped through before he even took this thing off. Eruptions. And obviously he took he pulled the mask off. Another eruption. And then when Toby came out, it was the same thing. And I was just like, it took a moment, like eyes welled up, and I was just like, this is really fucking happening right now. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like, you know what I mean? Like this is. That shit was setting in on me as the story unfolded. As far as rooftop scene, bruh, I can't even. Yeah. especially got me when Tom starts saying, with great power, and then Toby finished his line. I was like,
dude,
And
then I think they even cut to Andrew, and he just kind of nods while with watery eyes, and I'm like, God damn it, you and your fucking cry face are killing me right now, Andrew. God damn it. He just kind of went, and it's just like, damn it, Andrew, what the hell? And that's not the last time that he does it.
The scene after this is the one that like just blew my brain apart.
Oh, Science Peter times 3.
I mean, because under no circumstances would I have ever predicted we're not only going to get them for longer than cameos. We're going to have a scene where they're in the lab figuring all of this out.
Yeah.
Like just hashing everything together and like processing, like, okay, like we still have these villains that we have to cure, and not only that, they're from your universes, right? And so Toby with this whole thing, like, well, I've always thought about how to cure Norman. I think I've got some ideas on that. And Andrew going, I cured Blizzard once before. I'll just do it again, right? I can figure that out. And just I would have never predicted that scene would exist, let alone like be what it was. And then also like the byplay, like I love how like they're like just, I mean, there's the group of them, but then there are separations, right? And then just the little byplay between Toby and Andrew, and just the whole like when they were talking about, like when he obviously mentions his MJ, and like we made it work, don't give up, and that's where there's this push for Amazing Spider-Man 3. And that point was where it started for me. Is like, oh, Toby's telling him don't give up. You know what that means? It means you need to get Shailene Woodley on the phone right fucking now.
Jesus Christ, right? I know. And it was funny too, because during that scene, I'm like, oh, is he going to talk about an MJ that he got, but he didn't? And I went, okay, so it's still in the cards for Andrew
Yeah.
Garfield. Like he's still got to have his MJ.
Exactly.
You know, and it was a very
Yeah.
good scene. The fact that when they were looking at Tom Holland and MJ, you know,
Yeah.
that whole thing, and then
Like
and just
the forehead. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Just and that whole exchange was like, God, it was so good. And then I love the fact that Andrew. I mean, I love the fact that Andrew is, you know, he has no other clothes, so he's got the Spidey costume, but he puts a lab coat.
lab
over
coat
it.
I
on
love
top.
that.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
he gets
fucking
the
love
gloves
that.
on.
Yes. I just love the fact that he was always like he never had normal clothes. But then he was just like, you know, I mean, he kind of just took it as like, you know, it's not for guys like us. But then Toby was like, yeah.
See, I love that because we
Yeah.
were left on that cliffhanger at the end of Spider-Man 3 about
Mhm.
and I'll say this because when I did the rewatch of Spider-Man 3, I watched the editor's cut of
Mhm.
Spider-Man 3, not the theatrical. The theatrical leaves you more on are they actually going to be able to like heal
Survive.
after
Yeah.
after what they went through with the black suit?
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3, the editor's cut leaves you more in a sense of it's somber, but it doesn't leave you with the question like the theatrical cut does. So it was kind of nice for this movie to go, no, they patched things together and they've had a life together.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and there one of the rumors, which I guess turned out not to be the case. One of the rumors was we thought we might see Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
And apparently that I guess the word is not unofficially that scheduling plus COVID they couldn't make it work.
Yeah.
But somebody
that
thought of
happened.
it. Like there was like it was.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, I kind of want to. I want to see like the big, huge like whiteboard of like what could possibly be in this whole thing. You know, I mean, who knows? There probably was a point where like maybe we can have some X-Men in this shit or something like that. I don't know. Can we get Felicity? What's her name? You know?
Felicity
Jones.
Black Cat. Yeah, Felicity Jones. I mean, like, is that a possibility? I mean, they probably thought of every little possibility.
Okay,
and
so this is where we get to the part because we're in this scene where I get to the part where I wanted to walk over and slap some sons of bitches in the face.
Okay.
Because Ned is talking to Toby. And Toby is basically giving this heartfelt story about how he lost Harry.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the best friend thing.
The best friend thing. Because it's about Harry, Harry becoming the Green Goblin and then dying when he saved him because Venom kills him at the end of Spider-Man 3. And I had like a quarter of my theater, some sons of bitches, laughing because they thought it was this great joke looking at Ned's reaction. And I'm like, fuck off, he's talking about
Okay, I totally agree with you. Because it's like, yeah, when you're hearing that, like, okay, what was your best friend like? And then it turned out to be it was really bad. Yeah, I would say that you would probably be like, oh shit, am I gonna be like a villain in my Peter
especially
Parker
since the actual character of Ned Leeds, now this Ned Leeds is it's like Miles's friend from the Ultimate Universe, but the name Ned Leeds is a character who is the Hobgoblin in 616 universe. So but when I'm watching Toby, because Toby, I was there for all the Toby movies,
of course,
and he's talking about Harry, and I wanted to look at those guys and go, fuck off.
So it's my theater did the same thing.
Yeah.
But it didn't bother me. And the reason it didn't bother me is because, well, if we're being honest, this is the MCU. And it really wasn't about okay, if you're someone from our generation that grew up with the Raimi trilogy, yes, obviously you're going to did I laugh at it? No, I was looking at it like, oh yeah, that is rather shitty. And I was looking at it from the perspective of, okay, no, calm down, Ned. You're not going to turn into Harry. You're not going to be like that. Like that was my mindset of it. But anybody like that, like say, and there is a generation that Holland is their Spider-Man. There is a generation who didn't grow up with Raimi films, didn't grow up with the Mark Webb films either. So yeah, they are going to take it as a joke because that's just what this universe does.
Yeah,
it is. So I'm not saying that I totally understand your reaction to it. I totally get it. We will understand that. The youngers don't.
Well, no, because they're not going to. But still, I'm just like, But it was really weird how like it was this isolated section right over here, and the other 3/4 of the theater was like,
what the fuck are you laughing at?
Yeah.
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 Stop it.
but it was
Stop.
just weird how it was like this poor, like it was like there was a line of, no, we're watching the scene, and it was you jokers over here that were laughing.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
they were all kids, right? They were all younger.
Yeah.
I didn't even
I'm
bother
sure
to look.
they're
I was
young.
watching the movie.
I'm sure they're young. But like, and then we get to that point where they, we knew it was going to happen. It was like, when are we going to get that meme? We're going to get that meme where they're like doing this, and they did it beautifully.
Yeah.
With this, where it's just like Peter, and then it was just like, are you talking about? And they started doing like the pointing thing when they're in the lab, trying to create these cures, and I was like, perfect, thank you.
I saw it was like Peter. Yeah.
Yeah,
we're all Parker.
Yeah,
Peter Parker.
All
of us, and they started doing the pointing thing, and I'm like, all right, this is kind of like the meme. I think they kind of did it a little bit again when there was like Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter, when they kind of, but at the same time, I'm like, thank you for not reenacting the actual meme,
or making it into be like a super dumb joke. Because like
exactly,
that's one of the moments in the movie where I was like, they were instead of like writing this movie and doing production on it and being like, no matter what, we have to have this in this movie. No, this struck me more as they were making the movie and were just like, it'd be cool right here if we do that.
Yeah,
it'd be fun. Right. It'd be cool if we just did it right here. And then they just ddid it, and I was just like, oh man, it was so. Like you said, they didn't perfectly reenact it, but you knew what it was. It was.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Because they were just like, wait, you talking about him, or
I was like,
they were pointing at each other, and it was like,
well, it
was so perfect.
Yeah, well, because and I think that's probably exactly how it went, Anthony, because they had their story figured out. Like, okay, we know what's going to happen at this point. Oh wait, this will be, throw this in there. Like they probably had a line in there at first. Yeah, right, they had a line in there at first. They're like, "Oh no, wait, this will be better. Do this." Right?
Yeah, and they did it, and they were probably like, "Oh, that shit works," and they went ahead with it. Yeah,
and then Scott, you brought up the whole the web shooter conversation,
the organic web shooters. Yes,
which that was. It was fantastic. That was definitely a fan service moment because that's a discussion that we've all had. About the web shooters.
Even on the Rocket stream, we've talked about that. I think I've asked the question. I'm like, what would you rather have, the organic web shooter, or would you have the ones that Peter actually makes?
And the other great thing about it is, again, it didn't feel forced because you have to remember that these three have never met each other, like ever.
No.
Yeah.
And they're literally finding out about each other. So clearly, the two who have mechanical built web shooters are going to be asking the dude with the organic ones 1,000 questions because they legitimately want to know what the deal is with that. Yeah. It wasn't forced. It was like, no, we really, and he even, when they were at the Statue of Liberty later, he even like admitted that. He's like, no, we're not making fun of it. We can't do that. We want to know like how this is happening.
I still love when they talked about web block. I was like, yep, Spider-Man 2. Yep.
Web block. Oh, I know. But even before that, like when it came to the line about the cool youth pasture, I mean, I love the fact that Toby was like,
I got it. Like,
yeah. I was like, thank you. I was like, in my mind, I kept going, he's got it underneath. I bet he's got it underneath. And when he went like that, I was like, thank you.
And that just goes back to the first Spider-Man film, because he has essentially a Superman-esque reveal.
Yes.
He has a Superman moment. Mm-hmm. So we're used to the idea of, yes, he does wear the costume underneath everything he has.
I had to step away for a minute, but so I want to talk about something that first happens at the beginning where like Holland Spider-Man like dumps out all the cures. It's like, okay, I got Dylan and Marco. Like, and I love it how Garfield was like, well, I've cured Connors before, so I might as well just do it again.
Yeah. So, well, I got the. I know it was. I mean,
and Toby was like, no, I'll take Osborn. I've been thinking about this for years. Like,
God damn it. No, it really played into every one of their, what they've done, and it's a great scene because it's like, they all are brilliant. I mean, Peter Parker has always been a brilliant dude, and they all have that collectively. And that's what. So even though they have their distinct differences, but they're still all very, very smart. And it was just like, I was just going, thank God it just wasn't just the final act, final 10 minutes. They show up. We're getting a scene where the three Peter Parkers are working together to make cures for their villains.
Right.
Come on. It's so great.
Yeah. And then you just take it even further because I got to that point where it's like, okay, this lab scene just happened. We're going to get a scene where all three of them are like in battle. We're gonna get that scene.
All three of them suited up.
That's gonna happen.
Like, and basically fighting with, I mean, we're the numbers, but basically fighting the Sinister Six.
Yes. Yeah. Almost.
Yes.
Almost there.
We were off by one. Like
we're off by one.
Yes.
It's fine. It happens, but yeah, man. When we finally get to the Statue of Liberty, which is also being, constructed with the new.
Scott, I asked Brent about this because, like, he said, I asked him, "Is that from the comics? Did they do that in the comics at all?" And he says, "No, not that he recalls.
Not that I recall either. No.
So this is
like an MCU thing.
So this is really an MCU thing where they're replacing the Torch with Cap's shield.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I don't know because that just. The real world part of me was like, okay, this has to be from the comics. Why the hell else would you do this?
Yeah.
But no, okay.
But I'm thinking about like,
watched. And Danny brings up a good, like how long were Toby and Andrew's Spideys on Tom's universe?
I assumed they got transported there the same time
as everybody else.
Yeah,
and they were kind of roaming around, like going
right. They didn't know they don't know where the hell they're at. Right, it's clearly not their universe. Yes, yep. Totally. That's what I was thinking.
Okay, so I think we all
they acknowledge that when Ned opens the portals, he's not opening portals to the multiverse. He's just opening portals
to where Peter Parker
New York
is in his universe.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I know it's like, but yeah, you just kind of go like, man, that. So basically, Toby's Peter Parker was in normal clothes, got transferred, and it was like, Jesus Christ. But Andrews was in, he was doing Spider-Man shit because he was full on in the costume. So I do like that. I mean, like I think I've already mentioned it was like I like the fact that they weren't both doing Spidey shit. One was doing Peter Parker shit, one was doing Spidey shit. I like that. I love that. And I think it was great which ones were doing it because again, Andrew Garfield, I just fucking love Spider-Man so much. But
I love they went with the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit. I love that suit so much.
Yeah, it is.
The big white eyes was such an upgrade. I mean, like I was okay with like the beginning, the first costume we have the smaller reflective lenses, sure. But when they upgraded to the big eyes, I was like, all right. Thank you for doing that.
I also want to take this opportunity to mention this because I forgot to mention this like in my solo review, but Michael Giacchino.
Yes.
He is like in my top 3, and he's really like if it weren't for John Williams, he might be number 1 because like I got to look at this dude's career, and I mean I've been a fan of his since Incredibles, but think about this. Michael, make a new Star Trek theme that doesn't sound like Goldsmith or any of the others, but feels like Star Trek. Okay, boom, he fucking did it. Michael, Alexander Desplat can't do Rogue One. Score Rogue One in an emergency. Okay, cool. Let's take all the music from Williams did in A New Hope that nobody's heard in 30, 40 years and throw that back into here. Fucking did it in an emergency setting. Hey, Michael, we have themes from Danny Elfman and James Horner from these other Spider-Man movies.
And Hans Zimmer.
Right, and Hans Zimmer. We need you to throw that into the theme you already made with everybody. Oh, and include the villains, too.
Because I heard Electro. I heard Hans Zimmer.
I heard Elfman's Ock theme. I heard the Goblin music.
I heard Maguire's theme. When
absolutely.
I think I heard Maguire's when they went to the school.
Yes, I think yes, yeah. So that Michael G, like,
he's doing the Batman theme, right?
He is.
He's doing Thor, I think, also Thor: Love and Thunder.
I think you're right. Yes, he is.
I mean, he's a high demand. I mean, he's getting up there when it comes to Hans Zimmer. It's like, Jesus Christ, good on you, man.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've loved him. I go back to Alias when he scored that because
Oh yes, he did. Yeah.
he did Alias because then he followed JJ to do Mission Impossible 3.
He did do Mission Impossible 3. Yes, that's a fantastic score.
It's a great score.
Totally.
So yeah, this guy has been. But you're right. Like, and then Incredibles, it's like, oh, you can do James Bond too. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But just his and that's a big music is a huge part of these movies, and just and especially in the MCU, which there's only like a handful of like discernible themes that characters have in the MCU. A lot of the themes that characters have in the MCU are not very they're very forgettable. There's only
they can be. Like everybody knows the Avengers theme, they know the
Yeah.
Iron Man theme, and maybe Captain America, but
because Captain America and Avengers is Alan Silvestri.
And even with Iron Man, Dave, he really didn't have a theme until Shane Black's movie, the third one.
That's true.
Because-
I just watched that recently. Yeah.
And they reinforced that in Age of Ultron, and like you heard it after that. But it took him 2-3 movies to get a theme. But Spider-Man has had a theme. Giacchino gave him a theme. You know, the da 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 da. Da, 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 da. And it's like so it's like, okay, he's got his own composition, and then add all this other shit into it, and make it sound not forced.
Yeah, it was great.
Like not what Ottman did in Superman Returns.
No.
You don't want that.
Yeah. So.
Oh man, but yeah. So then we get to this final battle, man.
Oh my God,
Christ.
I was like, okay, I all three of them, like they put on the mask, they all look like their Spider-Man suits. I mean, a lot. I even loved like, I mean, it was kind of cheesy, but as an old school Toby fan, him complaining about his back.
Yeah, that shit was great.
Okay, that was so great, and we're gonna bring in Phil.
Hey,
everybody. Yeah.
All right,
What's going on, man?
I feel like every time we all go, hey, we all be like, hey.
Hey.
Phil.
No, but you're right, Scott, because it was just like, I mean, the callbacks were just done so well, because it's just like, then all of a sudden it's just, you have obviously Tom Holland's Spider-Man that's like trying to organize this thing, and then you have these two over here, and then they're just kind of shooting the shit, and then Toby just starts doing this whole like, he's like, I just got this back thing, and then you just immediately go like, my back.
Well, because that was an inside joke, because Toby really did hurt his back on Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's ironic about that? As I was thinking about that, is who almost took over the role from him was Jake Gyllenhaal, who was Mysterio, who outed Peter Parker's identity.
Oh,
almost
wow.
Peter Parker.
Did not
Almost
know
Peter
that.
Parker outed Peter Parker.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's about right there.
That's a
Blew my
Matrix
mind.
level of meta right there.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah, and then of course we get the web block. I love it when they start talking about like the villains that they fought. It's like,
Yeah.
I once fought some black goo from space. It's like, okay, there's a Venom reference.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
Peter talks about fighting Thanos actually in space. And then Andrew's like,
I want to fight an alien.
I want to fight alien. I fought a Russian dude in a mechanical rhino suit. And then I love that like Andrew like had like this like inferiority complex, and of course Toby's like, no, you are amazing, you are amazing. And my wife leaned over and went, it's because he was in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, right?
Yeah. That's what was so great about it. It's like, you're amazing.
Well-
You're amazing. And it was just
But it was also, but like we said before, Garfield's acting, like, yes, the reference was awesome, but there was also the part where it was like, yes, Andrew, stop, come on, like you wanted Toby to uplift him, like you wanted, say it, he's like, say it, I want you to say it, like, yes, Andrew, say it, because you are amazing, son of a bitch.
And because you want to look at Andrew and go, he was the one who got cut short, and you're just like,
He was,
and I loved how they like. Once again, it's kind of meta. If you've been a Spider-Man fan for as long as we have, because we're all old farts, it's like we're like, Ray, like you're saying, this is like nostalgia, like not in an evil way. This is like, no, this is paying tribute to, like, if you know all the stories, like if you remember if you remember the back problems Tobey Maguire was having, that they actually put it as a joke in Spider-Man 2, and they bring that back.
And the fact that Andrew cracked his back. I mean, it was.
I know.
Oh yes,
It's just like you know, he's all, I have a back thing too, but
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
I
like,
can
yeah,
like
you
crack
back
it for you. Yeah, and it's just like it's perfect because Andrew's, you know, obviously tall, super tall, and he just grabs him and he just it's just like, come on, man. I mean, like there was just I just was, oh man, it was like I was laughing and just kind of going, I love this so much.
Oh, and by the way, when Toby mentioned the black goo from space, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I still remember the freaking mid-credit scene from Let There Be Carnage. Okay, is there gonna be something? It comes back later, but
Of course.
But when he mentions the black goo from space, I was like,
yeah,
Venom.
Oh,
Venom.
you were waiting.
I was waiting. I was waiting.
Right. You're like, oh, is it really going to be a Sinister Six?
yeah.
Like, is the Six going to show up? Right.
And then of course we have like Tom Holland's like, yeah, but I was part of the Avengers, and they're like, that's cool. What's the Avengers?
That's cool. What is that?
Yeah.
Wild.
Right, because again, it's like they don't know any of this. This is
No.
and that was the organic nature of this whole situation. Is again, this whole time they're literally just trying to figure out what is up with the other two. Like all of them are like, this is like a legitimate conversation for information. What is happening? Like, we don't know what this world is. What is going on? And like, yeah, it was
well, and then also I love the fact that they point out that Holland knows how to work with a team because he's been a member of the Avengers, and Toby and Andrew are like,
have not.
We're a solo show.
Yeah,
Like they don't know this teamwork stuff.
And it was great because it like they came to that after like, you know, not doing well at first when they're fighting the villains. So it wasn't even just a sense of like getting their ducks in a row before the villains show up. It was like in mid battle, they're like, okay, this isn't working. We've got to figure this out. And that's
who's Peter one, who's Peter. And I love the fact, you know, that
Andrew's like, I'm Peter 3.
Yeah, I know, but it was almost like a little meta too, because it was like, hey, Andrew, you didn't get your third movie, huh? Peter 3. And I'm like, I was almost, you know, I think a lot of us kind of went like, hashtag make the Amazing Spider-Man 3. We need a third movie with Andrew. I think
third movie needs to happen. It does.
Yeah, but it almost felt like that they did that on purpose because it was just. And then I love the fact that Andrew was like, "I love you guys," and then they were like, "Thank you." Like, man, poor Andrew Peter is like, man, he just wanted to get an "I love you" back, and they didn't give it to him. It's like, damn it. Oh,
okay.
But it's such a great scene.
There's and when they're fighting all the villains, you know, I loved how like I paid once again homework. Ray, this is something that I noticed. The cures for the villains, like when they gas Connors, it looks like the gas from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
When they cure Sandman, it looks like a little super collider, like the collider from Spider-Man 3. It was like they made their cures.
They made the details
look like
John Watts understood the fucking assignment.
Yeah,
he totally did.
He completely got it.
And that was a fucking hefty assignment, too. Jesus Christ.
And then when they cured Samuel, I was like, okay, there's Thomas Hayden Church. He came in for one day. There he is.
Right,
okay.
exactly. Yeah. And I don't think that was the case with Rise, because I feel like that was just stock footage from.
I think that was there was some stock footage from Thomas too.
Yeah, I heard.
I don't know if he actually did come in though. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like I'm kind of curious to see the behind the scenes of all that. Like who came back for what. Yeah. But I mean, when they all started just swipping, you know, and it's just like, I mean, the whole theater was like, oh my God, it's happening.
Well, at one point when they're like coming around the corner, it was like, that's like the end of Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Yes, with the moon in the back
behind him. Yes.
It was just like, oh man! I mean, the whole theater was just—it was like everybody's at a rock concert. I mean, it was insane. Wild. And then when they all landed, you know, like where they and I love that Tom Holland's landed. You know, he landed last because he was like the centerpiece, obviously, because it's his story. But you had the two go boop boop and then boom like that. And I also like the fact that Tom Holland, like his Spidey costume got. It was partially the Iron Spidey costume, but partially not. I kind of like
it had to have the colors.
Yeah,
it had to have
the Iron like Spidey, like, you know,
because when they took the nanotech off of Ock.
Yes,
right. But that was the thing that we talked about on Fans was like, because he had the other costume before, like, but no, you got to have all of them in the red and blue's got to be there for all of them. Like it's just got to be that shot with respect to the big team up, like the hero shot, right?
Yes,
and
that was totally the hero.
And that's the thing is like I'm sitting there in the movie and I like 5 minutes. I'm like, you're going to give us it. In my head, I'm just like, you're going to give us that shot. There's no way you've gone this far and you're not giving us that fucking shot. And so when it happened, it was like, there it is.
Yeah.
Prepare to see that as wallpaper and gifts for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, for sure.
And just the way that they all just like work together just to like, because they obviously had all the cures, like they put their webbing and like they had it like ready to go in certain spots, and the way that they just kind of just like teamed up and obviously, I mean, this movie is full of fan service done pretty damn well.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, you have to have these certain villains get cured by this the specific Spider-Man. I mean, obviously you had Toby's like, when it got to a point where like he was kind of almost drowning in sand, and then he got the cure and freaking cured him, and it was like, all right, yeah, of course Toby's gonna do the one to do that. And then when it came to Andrew and Electro, man, I was like, that was such a good fucking interaction.
Oh my god. Okay, even my wife got this joke, but like when Andrew's got his mask, I was like, you're a kid, you're from Queens.
Yeah.
I thought you'd be black.
Yeah, I know.
And then
everybody was like, we know we have
in
one.
some universe there has to be a black Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Even my wife was like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
They made it a point to be like, hey, guess what? We know that there's a Miles Morales out there. And it was funny too, because everybody started clacking. I was like, my brother who hadn't seen into the Spider-Verse, I'm like, you gotta watch that. And he was like, yeah, but I know. And I was like, all right, good. I was like,
which that's the second time I think Miles has been referenced in the MCU.
Yeah,
because his uncle, the Prowler, is in Homecoming.
Donald Glover's character.
Donald Glover.
Yeah. But all right. So there's a couple of emotional moments here before we get to that big one that you were talking about, Scott.
Oh, that I text, like my first text to you was that moment.
Yes. Yeah. Before we get to that one, the one that I had was Octavius and Toby.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
Okay. Well, first off, what's great about him showing up is he kind of plays the part of like, oh yeah, I'm back to being bad again, because the last time we kind of saw that is like even Electro says, I liked you better when you were bad, so we kind of go, is he gonna go bad again, or what's gonna happen with this? And he plays the part, and then he goes, nope, I'm still good, I'm on their side, fuck you guys. And he starts that twist, and I was like, sweet. And then when we get that scene, oh my God, yes.
It's
oh man, we saw
good
Peter.
To see you, dear boy. It's like,
and he's all, you're all grown up. How you doing? And then Peter brings out the line, which a lot of people have put together, is like, still trying to do better.
Showcasing why he is the superior Spider-Man villain.
Right. Man, I mean, like, just even the look on his face, and Melina did a great job of just, it was just a guy that's just like he just kind of just saw him, but he's all, but you're kind of grown up because you got a little wrinkles now. You're a little bit different.
I was waiting to see if we were going to get a brilliant but lazy reference, but we didn't, and it was fine.
No, but I mean, like, it was funny too, because like it didn't hit me until somebody actually did the comparison. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. There was that line in Spider-Man 2. Is like, well, I'm always trying to do better, and it didn't hit me when I saw it, and I was like, but when I saw the comparison later, I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that was a callback. I totally it blanked my brain, but it's just, I love the fact that. Maguire, Peter was just kind of like, still trying to do better. It's like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And even before that, when they were still fighting the other villains, and like, and Ned accidentally opens the portal and they can't close the portal. I'm sorry. You are going to have to convince me that Connor's rampaging through the lab is not a callback to him attacking the
Oh,
school
yes.
in his
I had the
midst.
same
The
thought.
first thing, it absolutely, yes.
Oh yeah, especially when
yes.
the Stan Lee cameo, which was
In the
fucking
library, yeah.
Yes, in the
one
library.
of my
yes.
top 5 favorite Stan Lee
With the table that comes and it
cameos,
almost hits
when
him.
he's
and it's
just
like,
yes, when he's just listening to the music and they're fighting in the background and literally like Peter saves his life. Like just I mean, I think that's one of my like top 5 favorite Stan Lee cameos.
There is no changing your mind on that one because we all agree that's exactly what that scene was.
Yes.
No question
Oh,
about
10%.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course we gotta get to my scene that I texted Ray about literally walking out of the theater. Texted saying, but when I see MJ falling,
of course.
Okay. See her fall.
So,
and then and Holland can't get to her, and Garfield saves her. And when he gets down, and then he starts to cry. I was like, oh
my God.
And like he started to well up, and my wife just looked at me, and I'm like,
yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so we all kind of predicted it, but the fact of the matter is like, okay, you see Tom Holland Spider-Man go for, and then the glider, because obviously, this is when Goblin shows up.
Right.
The glider takes him out, and then when Garfield Spider-Man just gets in there, rescues her, but the fact of the matter is like she was just like thanking him, and then he had no words.
Yeah.
No,
this was his closure right here, because he was like, because he talked about it in that scene on the rooftop when he's like, I lost my Gwen and blah blah blah, and then when he did it, I mean, like the whole theater was just like, it was like everybody in unison was like, oh, because he's just like he's holding on to her, and he's just like,
are you okay?
Well, all he could say is, he says, "Are you okay?" And she's like, yeah. And then she looks at him, and she's like, "Oh shit!"
And he's just
okay?
Right.
Yeah, and he's just holding back. I mean, again, Andrew Garfield and his fucking cry face, man.
Oh God, that got me. It got me because I still remember in the theater back in 2014 watching The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Like they always, they played off that in the first Spider-Man movie with MJ. Like they always play off the death of Gwen Stacy falling off the bridge.
Oh, dude.
But when they did the falling thing in Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, when I saw the web thing, like, grab her and then turn to a hand, and then when it finally happens, it speeds up and you hear the crack. I remember watching the movie going, holy shit, they did it.
Oh, dude, I had my buddy when she was started to fall, I was doing this. I'm like, dude, they're gonna do it. And he was like, what? I'm like, they're gonna go fucking kill her. I think they're gonna do it. And when they did it, I was like, oh. And I looked at him, I was like, they fucking did it.
Yeah. And so 7 years later, he finally got to save her.
Yes.
And it was
that's the thing. It's like a closure kind of thing almost, you know? It's like
there is absolutely an element of
chances.
There's absolutely an element of I'll make you a promise, Martha won't die tonight. With that. There's that's absolutely the case with that.
And I always think it was interesting how they talked about how they say that basically his Spider-Man went dark after, like we didn't get to see that happen, because we didn't get an Amazing Spider-Man 3. So I almost felt like that was like when I see these hashtags of TASM3,
TASM 3,
TASM 3, and the idea is like, because I always wondered, like I know they were trying to set up the Sinister Six, and I am still, and there's that deleted scene where Richard's supposed to come back at the graveyard.
That was such a good scene.
That scene.
And we still have got no information, as far as I'm aware. Now, Phil, you might know this, but no information I've ever seen about what they were supposed to be doing with MJ in that movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so if memory serves, I think they still had MJ be Peter's neighbor. I think that was still much the case, or new neighbor or something like that. They had her on a moped. I remember the moped.
Yeah.
I remember the moped for sure.
Yeah.
As far as what was cut, I honestly couldn't tell you. I was very curious about that myself.
And they've
because,
never
like,
revealed, like they've never shown you deleted. So, like, it's weird how they just buried that.
yeah, I don't get
Weird,
that.
yeah.
That
It
was
really
like
is
one
weird.
thing I was really looking forward to in that movie because I really like Shailene Woodley as an actress, and
She'd
was
be a
just-
great MJ.
She
exactly.
would be well.
Exactly.
I mean, you see the set photos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She looks like MJ. so that needs to happen. That
Now it's going to be
obviously needs
interesting to
happen.
see how they handle that. But but I love the fact that he got that closure, and it was just again, Toby and Andrew did not phone their performance in, which and especially Andrew, because like again, it was just this look on his face, just like Jesus Christ, man. And then obviously, going back to that rooftop scene when even Toby was talking about like when Uncle Ben died and he wanted to kill the killer, and he almost was like he went off. We saw that in the first Spider-Man, his Spider-Man, and then but he realized like he can't do that. And then of course with Andrew talking about how he went off after his Gwen died.
Stop pulling his punches.
Blah blah blah. So they're it was like a lesson to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, because obviously, man, when we get the showdown again where he's about ready to just flat out murder Goblin.
He was gonna impale Norman
again
harder than he got it. No, it was gonna be worse. It was gonna be, what, it kind of we brought up Star Trek earlier. The scene where Spock goes on his rampage at the end when he thinks after Kirk's died, and he won't stop punching him until Uhura like tells him stop, we need him. It was the same thing where it's like he's going to kill him. Tom is going to kill him if someone does not stop him.
But dude, the way that Defoe is like just coaxing him, just kind of just like, oh man, he's just like just saying all this stuff, and the looks on his face and the way that he just says it all and laughs and everything. Oh my God.
Oh no, and even the line, I love the line that's a callback when he goes, the world is constantly, you want everything and the world is always trying to make you choose. And all I can think about that, choose who you meant to, so choose. It's such a subtle callback to his movie. Yeah. And then he's going to do it. And of course it has to be Toby is the one
that stops him. Because he he grabs the glider, which is kind of funny. He's like, he's going to kill him with the glider, which is how he died, of course, in the first Spider-Man. And then he's about to do it. And then Toby just goes, and then I don't know about you guys, but everybody collectively in the movie theater. What? So ahead.
I was just going to say, this is where the movie scared the shit out of me.
Yes.
Everybody,
100%.
Toby gets stabbed in the back. He goes, shoot, and you're like, everybody went, no.
Yeah.
Like, just.
I was like, do not tell me you are killing Toby.
I'm literally like, I was like saying it on my like, no movie, no.
I couldn't even say anything. I was just sitting there with my mouth wide open for fucking.
You will not do that. You will. No, you
literally
will not
just like
do that.
Everybody collectively went, no.
Yeah.
But thankfully, it just got. It was like they were like, all right, we're Watts and MCU, Feige, whoever came up with the idea, we're like, we're gonna make him have a heart attack. But don't worry, it's gonna be okay.
I like this. I get stabbed before.
Yeah, I know. When he was on there, and then Andrew just goes up and you're right. He's like, "Yeah, I've been stabbed before." And it was like, "Oh God, fuck."
Yeah,
because then I love the fact that Andrew does throw him the Goblin cure, and he does make the Spidey decision to cure Osborn.
And then he's fine, and then my God.
Osborn's just like, what have I done? And it's like, no.
Yeah.
One
of those, man.
Also, when Peter stops him, he has the glider up and he's about to fucking go to town on Green Goblin. Like when he stops it, he has that same like look in his face when he's holding up the and Spider-Man 2 at the end. The whatever.
The beams he's holding up
that are about to fall on MJ. And he
catches
them, and he's like shaking in the face. The exact same fucking look. I was like, oh
yeah. Didn't even think about that. Yeah.
And I love the fact that it was just a look. Like there was no words. Like
Yeah.
all Toby had to do was give him a look, and it was like Peter knows that look. Like
Yeah.
they're all Peter Parker. They all get it. They all understand. And he's like, "You're right. Okay, I'll set this. You know, I won't. It's what we do, right? It goes back to what they were saying. It's what we do. So, yeah.
Because actually, it's really funny when you go back to Toby and you realize how many. I mean, almost literally every villain except for Sandman died. But it's not Toby's fault that they die. Goblin impales himself on his own glider.
Yeah.
Ox sacrifices himself to stop the fusion machine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Eddie's the one who jumps back into the symbiote when the pumpkin bomb goes off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Toby is trying to stop him from getting back into the symbiote. So while all his villains died, he never killed them in his movies.
True that.
The closest you've gone to a Spider-Man actually killing his villain is however you want to interpret what happens to Electro at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, there's that whole thing, but at the same time, it's like
so throughout all of this, like we've talked about how incredibly organic this movie has been, and one of the best things that it does is it consistently reminds you in the midst of all this nostalgia, in the midst of all of this other great stuff that we're getting, this is still Tom Holland's movie.
Yes.
very much.
And we still have to solve his problem.
The problem. Yeah, I know. And then when Doctor Strange like shows up, I love the fact that he's like, I've been trapped in there for 12 hours. You know, he was trapped in the mirror.
The Grand Canyon. I've been floating over the Grand Canyon for 12 hours.
Honestly,
I love
that reminded me of Loki from Ragnarok. I have been falling for 30 minutes.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of that. But I love the fact that like, MJ and Ned were like, well, look what's happening. I mean, look at like they're curing them. And he was just like, well, shit. I guess maybe he was onto something because I just wanted to send them all back. Fuck them. I didn't care. I didn't care that they were here. I want to send them all back. Who cares if they died? But then all of a sudden it was just going like, whoa. So there's other Spider-Men and now they're curing all these guys. All right. So maybe Peter was actually on to something, which I thought, all right.
And then reality starts to crack. And I need this done. I need this on home video so I can pause and look at all
Craven was there. Craven was there.
Rhino was
there.
Yes.
Black Cat.
Yeah, well,
yes.
Black Cat there.
There was either Black Cat or Silver Sable.
Those two.
Yes, right.
I just saw Craven and Rhino. Rhino and
I saw Craven. Yeah, matter of fact, I saw the Craven one. The other ones I didn't catch.
Okay.
No, the one that I caught clear as day. I saw Craven clear as day, and I saw Rhino clear in the old, like classic Rhino.
Not the whole big mechanical. Yeah,
the first digital copy of the movie that exists, the think tank will have it well screenshot and diagrammed, figured out. We will know exactly who it is. You know, I'm not lying. You know that's gonna happen. But this is where, like, one of the biggest things that I said about this movie, and by the time No Way Home is over, any arguments that anybody had about Tom Holland's Peter Parker being those are done. Those are over. Those are done.
Get rid of it.
He has 100% earned this role at this point.
And then okay, so he just basically just says, hey, just wipe everyone's memory. I mean, we have to do this.
Oh, by the way, I need to take a victory lap here. Ray, you're welcome. You're welcome, Ray. Because I told you you needed to read One More Day and Brand New Day. I told you that. Because I was sitting here going, okay, this plot looks a lot like One More Day. I'm like, and you did it because I listened to your Flightcast Patreon episode. And I was like, and when it was over, I was like, I need a thank you from Ray at this point because I totally set this up.
I did bring that up in now Brent still says the one that I should read is One Moment in Time. He's still saying that's the one that I should read, which I haven't yet. I guess that's further like down the line. I forget what issue number he said it was, but I did bring up the fact that yes, this all hit very differently for me than if I hadn't read Brand New Day and One More Day, because I was told that mindset of, oh, well, here it is. This is the choice, and it's not Mephisto, it's Doctor Strange, but it's essentially the same thing. And he's not, but it's also not, and even the way that they did it here, because obviously in that story, it's, he and MJ are married, and it's right after Civil War, and it's to spare Aunt May's life. But in this case, May's already gone, and he's making this choice to preserve MJ and Ned's futures and everybody else. And he's making the decision now that he couldn't make at the beginning of the movie, because through everything that's happened in this film, he's learned exactly what it is he needs to do. Because Strange even says, it'll be like you never existed. And he just he pulls a Han Solo. I know.
Yeah.
And just, and
Strange going, but we love, and he catches himself, but
dude, I love that.
We love you.
Yeah.
We won't know you anymore. And he was like, I know.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. No, that
so heartbreaking.
Strange having that little bit of emotion where it's just like, oh no, that it does hurt. It does hurt him. He's like, no,
that's hurt. I've been working with this guy, even though the whole joke back and forth is calling him Steven. It's still a little weird, that whole thing. Yeah. But then, at the end, he's all, call me Steven, and then he even says, it's still a little weird, but hey, I know when this whole thing happens, and it's like, oh shit, we're going to get a bunch of goodbyes. And then first he, of course, says the goodbyes to Toby and Andrew.
Fellow Spider-Man.
I needed that hug.
Oh, okay. How great was it, the fact that Toby's he got stabbed in the back, so he's just totally Andrew is holding him up. There's just something great about those two are just propping each other up a little bit, and then of course there's the talking back and forth. And,
you're in a lot of
and I love again going back to Watts and whoever, just because at first he's like, all right, he's saying thank you and blah blah blah, but he's like, I gotta go to my friends and blah blah, and you're going, you guys got a hug, somebody, and then all of a sudden at the last minute Holland just goes, oh thank you, and then they have the three-way hug, and it's just oh there it is.
Yes,
and I didn't even mind the joke afterwards. When Andrew's like, you're really hurting right now.
Yeah.
Yes,
I was like,
but Dave, you're absolutely right, because I was in the same point. I was like, you are not saying goodbye without a hug.
Hugging.
Yeah,
the hug has to fucking.
And they did it so beautifully, because at first you're like, oh, they're not going to do it, and then all of a sudden he just goes in for it, and they're like, oh, thank God. I'm I needed this shot, and that's I have it saved in my phone. That was on my timeline, and I'm like, good God, I love that. It's like, how Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man. I mean, everybody cheered, of course, in my theater, and it was just like, come on, we needed that. We needed the three-way hug. And then, but man, when he has to say goodbye to Dad and MJ, that was rough.
To Michelle Jones Watson, I do like that. I do like that creativity with the name.
Yeah,
I do like that.
Good. It's good. It's now,
I mean, even earlier when Norman shows up and he's like, Mary Jane. No, Michelle Jones. I like it. No, we're just gonna own the fact that these are different names.
Yes, a different universe.
Yes.
No, it's good. Yes. No, it's good. But man, when he just basically just confesses of hey, this has to be the case, and she's just like, find me. I was like, I'll find it. Again, this is where I finally felt their relationship. I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
Until this movie, pretty much, this moment really just totally wow. You just gonna go, this is rough. This is rough. I mean, the fact that after all this, everybody's just gonna forget about him. And then of course, when everything happens, when the spell goes, and then I love when everybody starts disappearing back into and I love the fact that Toby and Andrew just give that last little.
Andrew was like.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, man. It was just kind of it was just oh.
Well, it goes back to the whole geek. It goes back to the whole geek chic thing. He's like, peace, Toby.
Yeah. It was kind of it was like Andrew was like this, and Toby's just like, yep, and then just vanish off, and I was like, oh man.
Which his goodbye to Ned and MJ.
Oh God,
that. perfectly just melds with when he does go to the coffee shop at the end.
Yeah. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Yeah. So yeah, when we get to that point, man, whenever everything's all said and done, man, when he's just, I mean, obviously he's got this new apartment that he gets, like it's a piece of shit, which we actually
the crappy apartment.
Yeah,
I was
that's
listening.
what we want.
I was listening to hear if the landlord had an accent.
I was
hear
yes.
He did not, unfortunately.
I wish he would have, but he did.
I mean, well, before that, okay, well, like I'm not gonna, we'll mention this afterwards because there's a question that I want to actually ask you guys.
Okay.
But yes, when we get to like where he's literally, and I actually remember seeing the set photos to this too, where Holland was like walking and it was snowing and it was kind of like, okay, what's the context of this? Now we get it. Is the fact that he's going back to where MJ works and he wants to confess, but so great because he wants he wants her back so bad.
Give her the letter.
And he's got this thing written out that he's going to say to her. The fact that when he's, he gets the coffee and he's still reluctant to say it, and then he still is like he's holding on to his letter, and then she pushes her hair back, and the Band-Aid is there, and he's just reminded of like, oh wait, that whole. I'm kind of the
what
cause
being
of
my
Band-Aid.
friend means.
Yes. And then she goes like, and he's like, "Oh, are you okay?" And blah, blah, and she's all, "Yes, it doesn't hurt anymore." And that right there, just like he just goes, "Fuck, man."
And then further reinforced by when Ned comes in and the very stark realization that they both got into MIT.
Exactly that. But I mean, just when she said that line, it doesn't hurt anymore. Oh man, I was like, God damn it.
That's when it hit him, and I was watching it, and I was just like,
yes.
He just realized they're better off without me. Like they're better off, they're safer without knowing me. So I'm not even gonna pull this letter out and do whatever I had planned. Dude, I was like, fuck, dude, what an existence, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, what an existence that you
a Peter Parker existence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
God, and then he of course just goes off. But and then obviously we get like, I love the fact that he made his own costume. I mean, the end of this whole thing is like the fact that he still had like part of the mask, and then he was like, all right, well, I'm gonna make the more costume. And the fact that it's like, when anybody who had an issue with the fact that he had this Tony Stark, like iron boy.
I started to get annoyed by it.
Iron baby. Yes.
Man, when I saw that, I leaned over to my wife and I was like, finally. Yeah. In my head, I'm going, he's
not baby Iron Man anymore.
He's not baby Iron Man. He's in a crappy apartment. He's got a homemade costume that looks like Ditko drew it on him.
Yeah, and he's got the
police scanner.
He's got the police scanner on his phone, which I guess it's on his phone in the PS4 game.
Yes,
I haven't played it, but that's so.
But that's also kind of fun to remember about the way that Toby would listen to the police scanner in his crappy apartment.
Yeah,
exactly.
Basically, he was Spider-Man, dude.
Like, he was 100%
fully formed.
Fully, yes, and look. He listens to the scanner, and then it was and I've mentioned this on several streams like already. Toby and Andrew both in all of their movies pretty much got that the end of the movie right at the end, that fucking swing scene. They all got the fire swinging scenes, and then they fly into the camera, credits roll. To this point, Tom hadn't gotten his yet, and he got his to a fuck. I was like.
And the fact that it's around Christmas, so he was like Rockefeller Center and the Christmas tree, and and it was just like he swung past that, and then it was like, and he got the whole thing, and then it's just like his fucking full on face just went right into the camera, and I was like, dude, there it is. Now we got it. Now what's next? Bring on. We got the origin story gone.
Yes.
Oh, and I saw, and you've seen this book because talking about the fact that it's not just that people don't remember that Peter Parker Spider-Man, they don't know Peter Parker. So I thought it was really weird, like when he was having this scene with Happy, and like this guy goes, "This is my aunt." Like that was weird. Like
so this is the question that I wanted to ask, because that part is weird to me, and I'm like, how do they explain this? Because obviously Happy knew who Aunt May was because through Spider-Man, and
Yeah.
obviously, okay, the Avengers thing happened. It's like, so did they just forget who Spider-Man was? Because obviously everybody knows everybody when it comes to the Avengers. Nobody, no secret identities. Obviously, we knew who Peter. So I'm like,
Well,
how is that going to work when it comes to that aspect of it?
So here, let's think about this for a second. Remember how Spider-Man got involved with the Avengers? Who brought him there?
Tony.
Who's now dead.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where like the conduit of how anybody else would know who he was is gone. So the spell at this point is really just wiping the memory of what his identity was, but he still did everything.
Okay, and by the way, he never really. Let's think about this. So he shows up at the airport in Civil War. He never unmasks. The most he says to Cap, who is also now in the past, you know,
Brooklyn, like
Brooklyn, Queens, like that thing.
Yeah.
They never know he's Peter. When the next time he shows up is Infinity War, which the only people who see him then are Peter, Quill, and the Star-Lord, Doctor Strange,
Guardians,
the Guardian, and Tony.
Yeah,
right.
He snapped, so he's gone for the 5
gone
years.
for 5 years, yeah.
Right.
And then he comes back. He fights in the in-game battle.
Right.
He never interacts with the Avengers as Peter.
No,
there's only one. Captain Marvel specifically says, "How you doing, Peter Parker?"
That's true.
Something
says,
like
hey,
that.
She's like, "Hey, Peter Parker, got something for me?" Because that was the gauntlet handoff. At that point,
and that's it. That's it.
That's
it. Pretty much. But I mean, like when it comes to Happy though, that's what's interesting too. But I mean, like, it's a little interesting, but I get it. Maybe it's like, oh yeah, I never knew who Spider-Man was. I just, she was. But
I see what you're asking is why would Happy have such a connection to Aunt May, considering he didn't know Peter?
Yeah,
that's a good
question. The one.
I mean, it could be and it depends on the parameters of the spell, but obviously Happy and May had a thing. So I guess that part is just reinforced further.
So maybe they still had a thing and just didn't have to do it. Yeah.
Well, and also it's magic, and the best thing about magic is you can make up the fucking rules.
Because the magic spell is going to have to wipe out all of J. Jonah Jameson's previous news spots, every video,
all of his Alex Jones stuff. That's totally who he was.
But also notice that when Peter goes into his crappy apartment, he's got a GED test study guide. So the school doesn't remember who he is. Colleges don't remember who he is. He's not going to get a high school diploma. He's going to have to get. He's going to get a GED.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't even notice that. Okay, that's good.
I did notice the GED book.
I did not notice the GED. Wow, that's a good little. Wow. Okay. Cool.
Like GED for dummies or some shit like that. It was one of those type of books.
They went further.
Wow.
They actually went much further than One More Day did.
Yeah, they did.
Because One More Day, they still know him. It's just there is nothing between him and they don't know his identity, and there's nothing between him and MJ. Like that's the extent of it. They went much further than that here.
Yeah.
So and you figure like depending on what their plans are, because I don't. There's no logistical way they don't continue this. They are going to get him to a point where, memories with these other characters, specifically probably MJ and Ned, are going to start to something's going to start to crack.
Yeah.
Like with respect to whatever is happening and like whatever his exploits are and how that is involved. Like the spell is not going to hold forever.
Yeah. No. Now that you say that, I automatically just see some kind of like super mad emotional scene where MJ was like, "You said you'd come back for us. You told us that you would make sure we remembered you." And fucking he could be like,
it's Parker. It's what happens. Peter Parker.
Exactly.
Which I always think is interesting because I know what my head also went is because Phil, I caught your joke earlier about the Superior joke because I love Superior Spider-Man. That was a fabulous run. Actually, I picked up Slot's run of Amazing because I knew Superior was coming. I read all of Superior. Like I picked them up weekly, and then once Peter Parker was restored and they renumbered Amazing to number 1, I kind of dropped off. I was like, this isn't as interesting as when Otto is in Peter's body,
right?
But I remember Superior talked a lot about Peter is so damn smart. Why doesn't he run a company? Why doesn't he have his doctorate? Like it's all this idea. So this is kind of cool. That's like it's playing off the thing. He's gonna be super smart, but he's not gonna have a high school diploma. He's gonna have a GED because he's really he's been knocked back to square. This is like do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Yeah.
You are reset, boy, because no one knows who you are.
It's crazy. God damn, man. That's intense. Yeah, no, I didn't even notice that part, and then, that even makes me more intrigued about the future of this franchise. So, I mean, like, that's the thing. It's like, what is the future? I mean, obviously, there's always been talk about, like, oh, yeah, Tom Holland doesn't know if shut up. Come on.
Not after this movie. If you can make another movie after Far From Home, which I know made bank, but I hated it. And yet you can make this movie. Yeah. Which I think is interesting. What I think of this movie does, and this is my fan speculation, with everyone not remembering who it was, it kind of allows, and you guys have joked about this extended origin story for Peter Parker Spider-Man in the MCU. This almost allows for them to tell the kind of stories that many have complained about. It's like, can we just get a Spider-Man story?
That's what I made that joke. I was like, I think Sony was like, hey, all right, so we good? We're done with the MCU stuff. Can we do our thing again? Can we do that, please? Because we had to do the whole Tony Stark thing and him, Avengers. Yeah, we're good. But now we're back to where we should be. Are we good? Can we just stop that now?
Yeah.
Scott, the end of this movie felt a lot like Skyfall.
Yes.
Felt a lot like the end of Skyfall.
Yes.
Very much so.
That's a pretty good comparison.
That was the first thing that popped in my head. I was like, okay, he's here, right? This is classic interpretation. Like we're at that point, right? And he's yes, jokes about how it took him 6 movies to get to this point, but we've at least seen growth with his character. There was at least a progression. Right. And you could argue that he made the most of it in this movie, but it still happened. Right. There's still a progression and still like he has because he has the tragedy. He has the tough decision. He's grown, like he's matured into the fully formed classic interpretation of the character that everybody knows, just like how Bond had Moneypenny and Q Branch and Classic M at the end of Skyfall. So
it's a good program. I like that.
That's
I really
great.
like that. I never thought about that. So now we get to that, obviously we get the swinging Spider-Man, and like I'm still waiting to get, I mean, I know there's some shots out there, but man, it's just like, can we just get a full on shot?
We need an official picture. We needed an official like not from whoever's been designing their posters. Screw that guy. But, we need an official just a Howland in the costume or something. I don't know.
Apparently, I
thanks,
think
Jason. Appreciate it, man.
I think it won't, because this was the home trilogy.
Yes, right. I agree. Yes, I'm not going to call it the home trilogy. I'm going to call it the Watts trilogy. But yes,
honestly,
I think they're selling the shirts on Disney's on their store.
Oh yeah, I saw something
with the 3 Spider-Man. In their poses.
It's going to get to the point where it says Spider-Man, and I saw those shots.
No, actually, funny enough.
Okay, Phil, what do you got? What
you got, Phil?
I actually got this because of this movie, and it's the collection of Spider-Man the comic from Brian Michael Bendis.
Is that the one? That's the one that got Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, it's really funny because I remember Brian Michael Bendis said he was never going to have Peter and Miles meet, and then it was like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Well, and they were. I know the fans were freaking out because I guess Peter and Tobey's versions are now listed on the Marvel Studios site, like they're part of the MCU.
Peter and Andrews,
right.
I didn't think they'd wait too long. I think I talked about it on Friday. I think I said I thought by Monday or Tuesday that they'll start releasing TV spots with everybody in it. They're just
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And now they're just like, yo, I don't know when did they do that? When they announced it, was it yesterday? They announced
it was like yesterday or the day before.
Yesterday, the day before.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
they did what they do, because I've been like unplugged, man.
They're Marvel not holding any punches back with their advertising for this movie now. Now
there's been a lot of interviews. There's been interviews finally too.
Yeah. TV spots are now showing like Toby and this. Yeah, they're just putting it all out there.
Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. I didn't think they'd wait a full week for sure.
Hey, I'm glad. I mean, like I said, Christmas miracle. I went in. I didn't know. I mean, besides the rumors, like you know, but when Charlie Cox showed up, I was like, yes, you know,
that was
when Andrew showed up.
Okay, but now we got to talk about the mid-credit scene when Tom Hardy shows up.
Yeah.
Can I just add real quick before?
Okay.
I would also like whoever does the next movie. I really feel like the next movie, the opening shot of it, should be the cover of Amazing Fantasy 15 with Spider-Man saving somebody with that.
Yes.
Oh, dude, that'd be fire.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that idea. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, like John Watts. I mean, I think John Watts. I mean, it was funny because his name was trending after Friday, Thursday, Friday. After people saw it, they're like, "Okay, you could do Fantastic Four."
Oh yeah, there was a ton of that. Like I remember everybody was going ape shit over like him being named to that, and now after this, they're like, "Oh no, go ahead, go right."
You earned your job. You earned
Fantastic Four.
Yeah, you got it. Okay, we trust you now because Far From Home, we were kind of going, I don't know, man. I don't know. But now after this, we're like, yeah, go ahead, do it.
Well, because he was 50-50. He was like, most of us liked Homecoming.
Yeah.
Far From Home really
was a divide.
It was a divide.
It was a divide. Yes,
yeah.
It was.
Yeah. And then No Way Home is like,
yeah. How did you achieve this?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the mid-credit scene with of course Eddie Brock's Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock. Obviously when we saw him in Carnage, Let There Be Carnage, we saw when shit went crazy. So then he's at this bar kind of talking
football is life.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Anyone who's watched Ted Lasso was having a weird moment. Because the bartender is a major supporting character.
Is he?
From Ted Lasso. His name is Danny Rojas.
I've heard people say
the entire time going.
Brent mentioned it on the latest news, I think.
Right. Brent did mention it, yes, in the review, and I've seen a few other people say it. Yeah.
Did not know that. But of course, he's like talking about things, and then of course the guy's like, "Yeah, the purple guy, he likes stones and blah blah blah." It's an interesting scene, I like Tom Hardy, no matter what he's in. I'm just like whatever he's, And he, of course, he's kind of drunk and whatever, and then you hear Venom's voice when it comes to stuff. Of course right,
yeah.
Oh, and then of course he vanishes, goes
just
back
the same way that Spider-Man vanished earlier.
Right. And all the villains.
Just like that. But then, of course, they zero in on a little bit of the symbiote just kind of on the bar top right there. And then everybody went, oh.
Yeah.
And
I did. I was like, so this is how we're going to get Black Suit in the MCU.
Okay, so I'm the only one. Because Brent said Black Suit, you just said Black Suit. I'm the only one that the first thought in my head was, oh, there's an MCU version of Eddie Brock.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to ask too. It's like, okay, so is the MCU version, is it going to be Tom Hardy? Is it going to be somebody else? But, and I've been talking about that with people too, when they go like, yeah, maybe it's not, and everybody wants Tom Hardy's.
I want Tom
Eddie
Hardy,
Brock to be Andrew Garfield's.
Yeah.
There's been that. Wanted that for a while. But then I'm kind of going like, okay, but how do you pass up having the two Toms together also?
Yeah.
It's like,
and when I say that is because when I say Black Suit is because I would like an opportunity. I want to look at where Spider-Man 3 went wrong, and I want to take. I want to take the opportunity to realize that Peter wore the black suit for hot minute in the
Yeah.
a while in the comics.
Yeah.
Like they don't even truly like they invented the idea that it was a sentient symbiote.
Mm-hmm.
Like that wasn't even the original idea. The original idea was just a black suit that shapeshifts.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it develops into the idea of, oh, the suit is alive.
So,
And-
so
and-
you
and
want a
then-
black suit trilogy?
I'm not
Or at
even saying
least
the whole
two. At least
trilogy.
two movies. At least two movies. Oh yeah, you
Could
just
one
you
of them
just
be called
gave
Back in
Philip a
Black,
boner
please?
right now. Yeah.
but the idea, but having an idea of let's actually like even in
Explore it.
the animated even in the animated series, they
It
did
was
a
well.
three-parter.
Three-parter.
2 episodes was just him in
Full on.
the black
Yeah.
suit.
Mm-hmm.
Venom
it
does not
wasn't-
show
yeah.
up until the 3rd episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at
Mm.
Spider-Man 3, and I've always said one of the things was even though Avi Arad, which he got a call out in the like an in memoriam
He
call
did.
out.
That was a
I
That's
really
all that. I was
weird.
like,
Yeah,
Did he write
Yeah.
that?
he wrote that himself probably.
that was a really weird kind of
Like, you
self.
gotta put that in there, I'm
Like,
sorry.
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
Also weird that I noticed it. Like the credits, I'm waiting for obviously this is in between the mid and the, and
You're
I'm
like-
just waiting for the end. And I was just on my phone and talking to my wife, and I just happened to look up at that time. I was like, "Wait, what?" That's weird.
yeah.
That's
It
really-
was.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
Yeah,
It was
but
strange.
I always say Spider-Man 3 with the black suit could have worked. I still to this day contend, and this is my opinion, the movie works really well as Peter going on a journey with what the black suit does to him. That's
Yeah.
something that the editor's cut actually really improves Spider-Man 3 because it zeroes the focus in on Peter's arc
Mhm.
dealing with the influence of the black suit.
And I think
I've
You did a-
always Venom was completely shoehorned at the end of the. I thought the black suit stuff with Peter worked. I thought Venom was shoehorned in because he's there for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I always said that what you should have done is have the movie with the black suit,
Mhm.
and then you end on a cliffhanger
Right.
of the bell tower scene
right.
Yeah.
and Eddie, like when,
Yeah,
when
no,
it
that
drips
worked.
on him, and then like you have the whole
And
that
then that's
just
it.
Spider-Man.
go to
Venom.
credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
did a
right
rewatch
there, yeah.
recently, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
all of them. Yeah.
All of them. Yeah. I
All
did
of
that
them.
before No Way Home. So yeah.
Actually, that'd be fire. That'd be pretty dope.
Oh,
make
ooh,
Andrew
Ben
MC's
Riley.
That would be fun.
Oh my god.
That
Oh
could
my-
be.
Can the
interesting.
MCU give us the Clone Saga? Oh my god.
Oh, the Clone Saga. Ooh. Now you're
Ooh.
No.
I was
man.
actually thinking about something, Dave, you mentioned between, if the MCU and Sony would share Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy between the two, right? And it's almost like, would they be willing? It's like they did the same thing for J.K. Simmons, right? Because he's
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
J. Jonah in Toby's, and he's also J. Jonah in the
That's
MCU.
true. Yep.
So there's that. And now you've also got Defoe's Goblin, Alfred Molina's Octopus as, and Goblin, respectively, right? The question would be, would they like to do something similar in that would they be willing to bring back those actors and have them play updated MCU versions of these characters somewhere down the line? Or do you just recast entirely and do it the MCU way? I don't know. It really kind of depends on
question.
like who's doing what role.
See,
I
that's
feel-
what's going to be the interesting about like the future of this is like, where do they
Right.
go? Because everybody's like clamoring for like, I mean, let's face it. I mean, Andrew Garfield, he just kind of stole every scene he was in.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who loves him as Spider-Man. And so we want to see more of that. It sounds like he's open to it. When it comes to Toby, I mean, that's a little different. He's older, and does he want to do more? Sounds like he had a good time with it. But like, who knows? I mean, I could, I love the idea of like this old man Peter, like a Logan sense. Like maybe if they did something like that down the road with Toby, that would be kind of cool. There's so much that they can do
By
with
the
this
way, read
franchise.
Spider-Man Reign. That is old man.
Okay. I'll
That
have to
is
check
that
that
is
out.
that is that
I don't-
is
I
the
haven't read
old
that.
man Logan Dark Knight
Okay.
Returns of Spider-Man.
Oh,
Okay, there it is. All right, I'll
I
have
need
to check that out. But
for sure.
yeah, I mean, like, but like, what is the future of that? I mean, obviously now we have Tom Holland Spider-Man that's off on his own. It's like, do they just jump into the whole symbiote and black suit And but like I like what you had to say, Scott. It's like, well, make it lengthy. Don't go right into Venom right away.
Yeah.
Have it where he's with the black suit and dealing with that whole thing with maybe another villain at first, and then it could have a cliffhanger of, oh, there's Venom at the very end. Don't just jump into it or anything.
Right. And Phil, going back to your point, I feel like because they established there is no Oscorp in the MCU,
Yeah,
like,
right.
and like this, I want to go back to the fact that like, aside from like, there are 3 great rogues galleries in comics, and it's Batman, Flash, and Spider-Man. Like, those 3 have incredible rogues gallery, and there are so many Spider-Man villains who we still haven't gotten.
I agree.
You've got Craven, you've got
Black
Shocker,
and
you've
Shocker.
got Black Cat.
We got a little bit of Shocker.
I was going to say Shocker was
Homecoming,
in
yeah,
Homecoming.
Same with
little
Tinker.
bit, but you can
not the proper Shocker.
No,
Yeah.
right. The proper Shocker show. I mean, like the real guy. We still haven't gotten Scorpion, and he's been hinted
Hobgoblin.
at.
Yeah. Well, and we're wondering if we might. I think some people are thinking we might even see a bit of him in Morbius potentially, since Toomes is there.
Vultures in there,
right?
Yeah.
And that's a question. It's like, so Morbius.
Because Morbius flat out. I mean, this is in the trailer. He flat out references Venom.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yet he passes by a Spider-Man murderer poster, and you've got Vulture there. So Morbius is going to be a really
interesting.
It's interesting. Like I have questions
because the poster is actually Toby's Spider-Man that we determined a long time ago, but then today I remember somebody did a screenshot like in Amazing Spider-Man 2 when he's looking in computer files. There's actually a file that says Dr.
Morbius,
Yes.
underneath Dr. Connor, and I'm like, where the fuck is this guy land? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, because there's a Venom file in when Harry's looking through the files. There's a black symbiote file.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like there's so many Easter eggs. It's like, all right, which one do you capitalize on when it comes to these damn things? I don't know.
But I would, if I could have my Spider-Man fan wish list, I want an extended more than one movie arc of Peter in the black suit.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I want to honor that portion of that, because actually one of my Spider-Man, collectible, like something that means a lot to me is that I have the issue. I think it's called, it's the issue number 1 of whatever series it is, and I always forget the name of it. But I have the issue with the bell tower, like with him ripping off. And it would be cooler because now that we have the Fantastic Four in the MCU, like let's not ignore the fact that Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four have a really deep history and connection in the comics, because the discovery that sound hurts the symbiote, Reed Richards figured that out, because there's a sonic blaster, and that's what he does. Because I mean, there's even there was a level in the Maximum Carnage game that's from the comic where they actually had to break into the Baxter building to get the sonic blaster.
Well, and I feel like all of that, Scott, is going to wholly be dependent on Sony and Marvel Studios' relationship going forward. I've seen people say, and I buy this theory, they believe that this was not the original plan for No Way Home until after the renegotiation happened. Remember, after Far From Home came out, that's when the split occurred.
Right.
That little that split that lasted, however, I don't know how many weeks.
It was like a month.
Right. It was like a month long, and then they came back together. There are people that believe that upon the coming back together, that's when this plan that we just saw came in. Like they had another plan previously for this. Things changed after the renegotiation. So it wholly depends on the relationship between the two studios, especially since, I mean, we still don't know. Like, I know people are excited and they're chomping at the bit to see what Marvel Studios is going to do with Fantastic Four. I'm still far more intrigued and impatient about where my fucking X-Men. That's why I want that.
You know,
want that.
when the whole thing with Doctor Strange and people were like coming through, I'm like, is this when we're finally gonna get something that it says? I mean, you know, some people thought about the Eternals also with that storyline and how that was maybe gonna bring forth like the mutants and whatnot. But I mean, it just seems like it's always just they we're not quite there yet. I mean, obviously with WandaVision, let's not talk about Ralph Boner.
Yeah.
I just dropped the name. I mean, we all kind of were like going, all right, is that going to be the case? And it just, man, I don't know how
Wanda Maximoff has had a tortured relationship with mutants through the entirety of the MCU because ever since she was brought into the franchise, like in Age of Ultron, like remember we haven't enhanced because they couldn't use the word mutant.
Yeah.
Well, they even like which it was it which movie were they even in the end credit scene? Was it Winter Soldier?
I think it was Winter Soldier. No.
Yeah.
Was,
are you talking about the one where it's her and Pietro in
she's doing like the whole thing where she's like,
oh shit, which one was that?
That's Winter Soldier.
Oh, Winter Soldier. Okay, yeah.
Winter Soldier.
They call them miracles. What they call them?
Yeah, Marvel's miracles. Yeah.
Because that was teasing them like their existence, and then like we saw them because Winter Soldier is the 9th MCU movie, and Ultron is like the 11th. No, Guardians.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
Yeah,
you're right.
Because that came out the same year as Winter Soldier. Just in August.
That's right.
And then Ultron and Ant-Man were the very next year.
Right.
So yes, so that's where that was. But they need to figure that the fuck out.
Yeah,
seriously.
I mean,
sorry, I forgot about Guardians of the Galaxy. My bad.
Hey, the first one is good.
I know.
First one's great. Second one,
Moments.
Even though I appreciated that they had a sacrifice in there, I was like, "Yeah, good for you. You sacrificed."
Like I said, moments happen.
Yeah, moments are good. You know, I like Kurt Russell. I do.
I could have done.
You know,
guys. By the way, I'm not sure if you saw the meme, but I loved it. But help me out here. The actor who plays Yondu, he was in the
Michael Rooker.
Michael Rooker. Yeah, from Jasper, Alabama, by the way. I still love it that he went to a con, sat next to Dick Van Dyke, and went, "Look, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all." I thought
that's awesome. That's pretty awesome.
I was like, okay, that man understood the assignment. Okay.
Totally did. But you know, okay, so future Spider-Man, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do because obviously, I mean, this thing is like blowing up like no other. It's gonna reach $1 billion, no doubt.
Oh,
I mean, it's already at like 800, I think, worldwide.
It'll reach $1 billion worldwide. It'll be really interesting to see how much further it goes because there are some people saying that 2 billion is certain, and it's like I'm not gonna.
I don't know about 2, but
that
you know,
far.
I mean, when it came to $1 million, I mean, or $1 billion, you know, and I think, you know, and I wish Steven was here because he was kind of going, I don't know, and you know, I'm glad he's not here. I also, you know, I'll just play the drop anyway.
Throw a knife at Steven.
Yeah, I mean, come on. But you know, it's fine. He was a little kind of like wondering if that was actually going to reach $1 billion. But it's like it's pretty.
I mean, this upcoming, you know, the holiday weekend, like
I know, poor Matrix.
We got to see what the you know, you know what though, it's like the Matrix was never that kind of a franchise though, right? Like it's never been like it's always been R-rated, so it's always only been 17 and up legally speaking.
Yeah,
and it's on HBO Max.
It's right. It's the last of the day and dates, which I don't care what people say. That absolutely does affect box office. So all the Suicide Squad people that movie lives in their head rent free. Suck it. But like
still talk about it.
Right. All the people that are like, it's an incredibly forgettable movie, yet you tweet about it daily. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, but it's a different scenario with that movie, right?
Like the only movie that like broke that was Dune.
Yeah.
Dune transcended.
I mean, Dune was supposed to be that. I mean, it was supposed to be an experience, and that's what it really was. You know.
I'm still.
It's like you had to see that movie in IMAX or something.
That's honestly I think Dune probably is like the biggest box office. Because are we really surprised that a Spider-Man movie is making money?
No,
we're not surprised.
No, I mean, especially when people knew what was going to be happening in this movie. It's like, come on,
exactly.
You know, this movie was going to be huge no matter what. You know,
but I had absolutely no we said several times, Scott, Dune is not going to make money. We were wrong.
We were wrong, and
We
we
were
are
wrong.
A lot of
gratefully
people said
wrong.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people said that, but thankfully that wasn't the case, man. But
Yeah.
no, but when it comes to the future of this, I mean, it's going to be interesting. But and then of course, you know, after the credits, we got and then it was released, I think today.
Yeah,
It
put it out
was.
there.
That was so weird that I
Yeah.
ignored it, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's the
Yeah.
end credit scene, which is funny
Yeah.
because it reminds me of the end credit scene for First Avenger was, which was
Basically
a trailer for the next
For the
movie.
Avengers.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Some assembly required. Yes, I remember that.
I actually like that tagline, and I'm
yeah,
not
that
gonna
shit was
lie.
fire.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a good one.
After you just watch First Avenger, and then you wait to the end, and you see that.
Some assembly.
That's
I-
dope.
good.
This was dope. It was dope.
I did like that. I do like the Multiverse of Madness trailer. It had
Yeah, really
it
good.
had the three basic things I was looking for, which was, you know, Strange, obviously, Wanda in full like Scarlet, and the other I needed to see Mordo again
Mhm.
because we haven't seen him
Yes.
since
Dude,
the
the
first
first one.
movie.
Chiwetel Ejiofor absolutely just knocked it out of the role with that first movie. Like, I love everything about Baron Mordo in that first Doctor Strange film. Oh man, I was so happy to see him back. Oh
He's
man,
really he does, and he's underrated in terms of like his ability to play villains. Because like if you go back to like Serenity
Yes.
as the
Mm.
operative, like that's still
Mm.
probably his best villainous role.
I
So
think
Because
that was
he's
the
usually a good guy. He's usually a good guy.
I
What
think
was
that
the
was the
movie
first
with
time I
Mark
saw
Wahlberg?
him. Serenity.
Movie
the
with
movie?
Mark Wahlberg. Which one?
Four brothers.
No,
Oh,
no,
he was
no,
in
no,
Four
no,
Bro-
no, no.
no, he's
There's a
not in
movie
that.
he played in with Mark Wahlberg that came out like last.
Oh
year.
yes, I know what you're
It
talking
was
about.
like
Oh, you're talking about on Netflix
like
Yeah,
Invincible
or Amazon.
Is it Invincible?
or
Is that what
Amazon.
it was called? Something like
It
that.
was like
no,
the
it's on
one
Paramount
where-
Plus. It's on Paramount
Yeah,
Plus.
it's the one where they over the lineage they die
Oh,
and get
okay, yeah.
reincarnated. Yeah, he was fire in that shit too. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
that was good.
He was also
No,
in
he-
Lockdown with Anne Hathaway.
Yes, which he was good in it. Not a great movie in my opinion.
Agreed.
And that's me talking about a movie with Anne Hathaway in it. And like
well,
that's just me
He
like
was also in. He was also in
I like them
2012.
in it, but I think Scott's
Well,
right on the money.
Well, there was
It's-
also the Old Guard.
Yeah, he was in the old guard.
he was
That's
in
right.
the old guard.
Yes.
He was
Yeah.
also
Which
in 2012 with.
we
you
kind of
know,
had the same
that
thoughts about the Old Guard. It wasn't like it was okay. It wasn't
It
like
was okay.
a great
Yeah.
movie.
Not phenomenal, but it was decent. You know,
Wasn't
Decent.
Netflix.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was not Dune.
enjoyable. You could put it
No.
on and be
No.
okay with it.
I do.
But it's
Yeah,
not something I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to watch Old Guard again.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's not like.
Well, they are making. I think
They're making
Yeah.
old guard
I
too.
think they're making a
I mean,
sequel.
Yeah,
it's fine,
yeah.
and I'll watch it. I'll watch it for sure.
Yeah, most definitely.
But it's just
Yeah,
not
most-
one of those where I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to rewatch this again. You know, so
I think
Decent.
when we were just talking about the box office for No Way Home. I think it's like what was the last MCU movie to hit two? It was Endgame, right?
Endgame,
Yes.
In game, yeah.
Yes.
So like with those two movies, I feel as though I would be more. I watched Endgame in theaters one time. That's it.
I saw it twice.
I saw it
because
twice.
I saw it.
Like,
I saw
Yeah.
it once myself, and then I went again to go with Heather.
No, I take that back. I did see it twice because I went. Me and a friend went, and then I went back with my son and my wife and them because they weren't able. But that was it. Like this for me personally, as far as like I think this one will have stronger legs as far as box office goes because look, there's a difference between seeing Cat pick up near or whatever in any game, but seeing Toby and Andrew walk out of the portals again, let's go. Like I think people will be more apt to go back and watch that.
Well, this is cross generational.
well,
like
yes.
Yeah.
Right, and
Yeah.
not only that, I'm also say this like because people have already saying like I'm seeing people like, oh well, the power of Marvel, they're bringing back the $1 billion films. Look, I really think that in this special circumstance, this is the power of Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would not. So I would really pump the brakes on thinking Multiverse of Madness and Wakanda Forever and Love and Thunder are just going to bring back the $1 billion films. No, everybody is seeing this because like it's multi-generational Spider-Man.
Yep.
This is a
Yes.
Spider-Man
Exactly.
movie.
Yeah.
Well, and I think even Wonder Meg said this. I think this movie found a way to celebrate and embrace all Spidey fans.
yes, it
Yeah,
really did.
it did.
They really
It
did.
Perfectly.
It really did.
Yes.
Yeah.
and
Because when
everybody-
they were about to kill Toby, I was about to cut some son of a bitch.
We you know what we all felt like, it reminded me of like of that scene in Toy Story 3. The toys holding hands.
Oh my god!
My nephew watches that movie on repeat, man. I know ooh.
Yeah, because I felt the same way when I was watching. I was like, no.
You do not feel any of these. Yeah,
right.
Oh, I know. Exactly. We all felt that when it was like the whole fucking theater, a collective gasp of. It's like no, but then they were like, yeah, he's okay.
It was probably more pronounced in this movie. You remember when Thanos stabbed Tony?
Oh yeah, with Tony.
Yeah.
A similar thing. Yeah, in Infinity War.
Like, whoa! What are we doing? What are we doing here? Okay, chill out.
I mean, it was the very next Avengers movie, but still, yes, at that point, there was definitely a thought of, oh crap. Because at that point we'd seen because Loki had died and Heimdall and we Vision
like stepping it up too much here. Chill the fuck out, Kevin Feige. Whoa. Like I like the dark shit, but chill right now. You know what I'm saying?
So Ray, I haven't finished watching. I haven't done my rewatch completely to where I've thrown in Homecoming and Far From Home. So my Spider-Man ranking of the Spider-Verse films is not complete yet. But I can go ahead and say that what I said to you on the telephone last night still holds true. Into the Spider-Verse is my number one Spider-Man film.
Yes.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay.
It is.
No, yes. The statement that I made on Fans and on my review was that No Way Home is the best live action.
And I
Spider-Man
will, because
film.
guess what number 2 on my list is? No Way Home.
Yes.
It is now my number 1 live action Spider-Man movie. And it's number 2 only because Into the Spider-Verse exists and is the greatest piece of Spider-Man media I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's fire.
Interesting. It's 3. It's number 3 for me. I mean, Spider-Man 2 just still holds that special place in my heart.
Yeah.
What and Into the Spider-Verse is number 1?
Yeah.
You, Dave?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I the Spider-Man 2 thing, like I will give you that because it's kind of like my Star Wars rule. Like the rule for my Star Wars rankings is that Episode 5 is 1 and Episode 4 is 2, no matter what, because everything that came after it wouldn't be what it is without those 2, and that's just my rule that I have. So whatever Star Wars movies come out, it's like, well, you're going to be third. The highest you can be is third. It's just a subjective rule that I have in my head, and so I kind of get that because somebody could totally make the argument that 2 is better than No Way Home because, well, without 2, No Way Home isn't what it is.
There it is.
I could totally understand that.
But what I will shock people when I finally release my list is how freaking high Amazing Spider-Man 2 is on that list. Because ain't nobody prepared for how much I actually really love that movie.
Yeah. What about you, Phil? What would your top 3 be?
So, as far as the MCU goes, it's my number 1 MCU movie. As far as Spider-Man goes, it is firmly in number 2, right behind Spider-Man 2.
Oh, okay. So you're Spider-Man, yeah.
So it goes Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man No Way Home, The Amazing Spider-Man.
Where do you have Into the Spider-Verse?
A little bit lower on the list.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Hey, it is all subjective.
I think it's either 3 or 4 because I flip-flopped Spider-Man 1 and
see that's the thing
Into the Spider-Verse.
When it comes to rankings, like sometimes I flip-flop too. When people ask what's your favorite movie, I'm like, I don't know. How do I feel today? It could be Back to the Future. It could be Fight Club. I don't know.
I said this. I went ahead and said this on Fans, and I'll go ahead and say it now because the MCU, first of all, I enjoyed all the comic book movies this year. I did. Even Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Yes, I enjoyed all of them. There wasn't a single one that struck out with me. Obviously, my number 1 for 2021 would be
Hold on.
Oh, here we go.
Would it be
Yeah.
Oh,
look at that sign.
Hey.
Oh, that's right.
Signed.
Got it.
Yes.
I was
You
waiting
got
for an
it.
Well done.
appropriate moment to rub it in all your faces.
Oh, man, that's
all
right.
right.
I forgot. Yeah, you got that today.
Yes.
Sign.
Congratulations,
Definitely.
sir.
Yes, congratulations to that.
That's
That
fire.
is
That's fire.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But honestly, when it comes to the MCU, I mean, like, you know, I think Shang-Chi is like my 1A and No Way Home is like my 1B. I loved both of those movies. They were so good.
Shang-Chi was fire. Yeah.
But in trying to figure out where all of it is, it's like, okay, it's been a while since I've watched a bunch of their movies. So what I am going to attempt, I'm going to attempt a full rewatch.
Does that
next
include
month.
the Disney Plus
MCU.
shows?
Yep, I'm going to
Okay.
include the shows. I know
All right.
it
Nice.
is a
That is
daunting
good.
task
Yeah.
Yes.
because it's 27 movies and 4 shows. What the fuck am I doing?
That's a whole week,
lot.
if not like
It's-
more.
That's like way more.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Especially if you have a job and you have a
Oh,
dates
God.
and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna be-
it is
gonna be
it is
difficult.
so yes, it's a time
Yeah.
it's definitely a time like requirement for sure. But I want to try and figure it out. I want because I don't know because it's like
You don't. Do
I've
you
got
have
2
an
mo-
order?
I have 2 movies. It's been so long since I've done a list fill for the MCU.
Uh-huh.
Like it's easier for the DCEU. That's what 10, 11 movies. But like
Yeah.
Yeah.
but in this case, it's like it's been so long since I've done a list, and I have 2 movies this year at least with Shang-Chi and No Way Home that are in the top tier. And I got to start thinking, okay, where does when people were because Watts made the comment about this movie being Spider-Man Endgame, and I had to think to myself, is No Way Home better than Endgame?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Right? I think
See,
it
for
is.
me, the
I like to
question,
think so.
because Endgame is not as high for me. What I got to figure
Infinity
out
War's
is
better. Yeah.
what I got to figure
Way
out when it comes to like my top 3 right now. Because like right now, my top 3 are like Infinity War, Winter Soldier, and the first Iron Man.
Mhm.
That's
So
good. That's good. Yeah.
That's
Yes.
No,
like
That's
that's
a
that's the rarefied air that those movies hold for me. And No
Yeah.
Way Home
Good
is like
choices.
who you bumping.
yeah, I know.
Right? Right?
Bumping
See?
somebody.
You're
But,
bumping somebody
Exactly.
because No Way
I think-
Home is a top 3.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
who you bumping?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And see,
Well-
I'm trying to figure that out with No Way Home and Shang-Chi because
Yeah.
both of them are bumping somebody out of the top
Oh,
tier, and I
yeah.
don't
See,
know who.
I still have
10?
to see Shang-Chi. I haven't
You have
seen
to
it.
see.
Oh.
You have to see it. Yeah.
But now it's on
You
Disney
should.
Plus, so I
Yeah,
can.
yeah,
got it.
watch that.
You got it.
Watch
You
what's
got it.
fire.
I got
Did
it.
you see
No.
Eternal, Scott?
No,
Okay.
I
Oh,
It'll be
I-
on there like next month, I think.
this is only
Yeah.
the second MCU movie. Oh, No Way Home is only the second MCU movie that I have watched this year. I rented
okay.
Black Widow on Redbox.
Okay.
Mhm.
Sorry.
And
Why does that feel appropriate?
Yeah.
well,
Hey,
by
it
the
gave us
way-
the Elena. That's
Yeah,
all.
it gave us yellow.
For,
Yeah,
for the record, Black Widow's in my mid tier. It's not
Hey,
the lower tier.
actually,
the
it's in
very
my
end of my
mid-tier.
mid-tier.
Hey, no, it is actually when you look at because I've only seen 24 of the MCU movies,
better than
25
Captain
now. Black Widow is literally the middle, like mathematically,
It's the
middle movie.
It's the middle movie.
Wow.
Number 13 is it.
That's
No,
like
but I wanted to, Anthony. What would be your top 3 Spider-Man movies?
As number 1, Into the Spider-Verse. You know that when the first time I saw that, I was completely
I know.
destroyed. I was like, "Yo, how did this?" Yeah, it is crazy because it's obviously it's not an MCU film. It's just like Sony was just like, "Yo, let's let these artists be fire and have a fire soundtrack and a great story." And they gave us the best Spider-Man story that I've probably ever seen, like on screen in my entire life. And then it's for the longest time my favorite Spider-Man movie was Spider-Man 2. Just
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2. There's no flaws from start to finish. It is
Hey,
perfect.
you got the web block in there, man.
It's dude. It's such a good movie.
And so much Raimi. It's
It's
so
the-
Raimi.
Oh, it's
Oh,
so
Raimi.
Raimi.
Oh, dude! I
It-
mean, the
it's
scene, the
full
scene where
Raimi.
Doc Ock opened when he wait with the arms. I
Oh,
mean,
God,
there's
yes.
no soundtrack. It's strictly just like they went. I mean, I think Scott and I we actually talked about this. Was like or maybe I don't know. I talked about it with
No,
somebody.
we tangented. We started the Batman the Animated
Yes.
stream with a
Oh.
tangent
Yes,
talking about
because
this.
we were kind of saying like, when it came to the first Burton Batman, it was like, all right, you're gonna do Batman. What are you gonna do? And Warner Brothers was like, can you do it? Like, and he did, a good job. And then when it came to Returns, they were like, have at it, Burton, and he fucking did.
Yeah.
And when it came to Spider-Man 2, they were like, have at it, Raimi. And he goes, okay. And fuck, I mean,
That's the thing about Spider-Man 2, I think, is like this is a fun term going around. It is essentially the blueprint for really great superhero follow-ups, superhero sequels. It is.
That birth of Doc Ock scene
In
is
the- in
like
the hospital?
he went full Evil Dead.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
and I mean, even with the dude with the chainsaw, it comes up like, okay,
And you get somebody, you get that lady like getting pulled, and her nails are like dragging through the freaking thing.
Which
Just
then
like,
is so funny when you go to Spider-Man 3. And one of the most emotional scenes in any Raimi movie is the birth of Sandman. And it's just how quiet and beautiful that scene is. And it's really interesting to watch the birth of Doc Ock, and it's like Evil Dead Raimi.
Yeah.
And then you get the birth of Sandman. It's just like it's almost ballet.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
And just think, guys, he's the one that's directing
Multiverse of Madness.
Look, I've already now this one I'm supremely confident on. You better be prepared for plenty of Evil Dead, and that type of it's going to be like a Drag Me to Hell type scenario. It's going to be that kind of movie.
Yeah,
Drag Me to Hell is fine.
Well,
don't even get me started.
Oh god, that movie, the ending of that movie still haunts my dreams.
But let's end it like that. Not with a happy. No. Thank God.
And number 3 is No Way Home is crept up in there. So number 2 would be Spider-Man 2, and number 3 for me would be as far as like MCU movies. It's pushing itself in. That's one of those things like there's so many movies you have to like quantify where it's high up there now, because for the longest time, the first time I saw The Winter Soldier, nothing has ever topped that MCU wise for me. Nothing. That I can't even like in that universe that they built with the MCU. It's just like, first off, and what you think about the movie with the least amount of jokes. There's no fucking just thrown in their humor with the Winter Soldier.
There's some, but it's not noticeable.
No, yeah, exactly. Right. And so like, and the action is fire. The entire story that surrounds like the Winter Soldier just it took me. And then all the movies after that, there's just some fire ones in there, but none of them were ever better than that. This one is competing with it as far as the MCU goes, just because not even the nostalgia factor, because I had to give myself a couple days to like, once the nostalgia factor settles, how do I look at this movie? And I still look at it as they fucking did a fire job with it. So,
because they finally made a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah. Also,
in the MCU.
Not only that is like, as fans of Spider-Man live action, what we've seen thus far before he came into the MCU was the Sony movies. The Sony movies always seem to have higher stakes. People died in those movies, like those Spider-Man movies. So, like, this is the most Sony MCU Spider-Man movie that they've made thus far. Like, it just seemed like, obviously the Sony thing played before the movie started because there's some rights and shit in there. But this was the one I was like, is this a Sony film or is this is on the own? You know what I mean? Like this just seemed more. The stakes were higher. It just seemed like there was more going on, and like it just felt better than obviously the MCU films before this one with like Far From Home or Homecoming. That's just So
indeed.
I wanted something that was closer to Homecoming's level than Far From Home, and am still stunned that it blew both of them out of the water.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah.
It totally did. No love for I mean, I don't know what the whole thing is when it comes to that now that he's not here.
If it's the stuff that he pre-recorded is done, I don't think they need to do
I mean, like when it came to Venom Let There Be Carnage, he was like on a magazine.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe there's some Easter egg in No Way Home that we did not see.
But I mean something, right? You would think
probably going to be something around in there. I mean, obviously
to him and Ditko.
They definitely did the Ditko thing.
Right, they went, which I appreciate because let's be honest, there's a lot of artists who have historically been shafted, you know, in the
industry, yeah.
credit that they should have gotten, and the fact that you got 2 Ditko characters in this one with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
You had to throw the.
I appreciate the Ditko love that was happening.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, no, it's I don't know. Like when it comes to future MCU or future any Marvel movies, like what do they do to do that now? I don't know. I mean, maybe there's something. Again, I mean, when this comes out on video, I think a lot of people are gonna really just look at every fucking frame with a magnifying glass. What are we seeing here? You know.
And to be honest, I feel like remember it was in Captain Marvel when it was right after Stan died, and the Marvel Studios logo was
all of him.
Stan Lee.
That shit was fire. Yeah.
Honestly, I'll be honest with you. I just felt like
closure.
That was the swan song of the Stan Lee cameos. Was that
was his last one too? I think where he
he was in Endgame.
I love that. I love the fact that he was reading the Mallrats.
Oh no, that was
I
cool.
love that movie so much.
Well, because of course he's in Mallrats.
He's in Mallrats.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was so beautiful because I love that fucking movie so much. Yeah. That's my favorite Kevin Smith View Askew movie, or Jane Silent Bob movie.
Yeah, Mallrats. Okay.
Yeah. Watch it.
It's good. I've seen all of the first. I think I stopped with Kevin Smith at Jersey Girl. I have not seen anything since like Jersey Girl since. Except for Zack and Miri. I did see Zack and Miri. I didn't.
Zack and Miri was fun. Chasing Amy's my favorite View Askew.
Those first 5 View Askew, but Mallrats is good.
Mallrats is good. I mean, it's just Jason Lee and Brody. I mean, who was just like, I felt like, I feel like that's kind of me right there. Like I'm that guy.
We've talked before about the commentary track with that.
Yes, we
movie.
have.
Oh my god,
it's so good. It is for sure. Yeah,
the commentary track from Mallrats is it's Jason Mewes, it's Kevin Smith, it's Ben Affleck, and
Scott Mosier,
and Scott Mosier.
Scott Mosier,
and they make fun of Jeremy London a lot.
Oh god, Yes,
they make fun of a lot of things. It's pretty funny.
It's Ben Affleck unleashed. He's not like that. He's not like that anymore.
No,
he is not like that.
It's a very fun.
Hey guys, you just realized that now I can like scroll through Twitter now, like
freely just be like, hey.
Yeah, you could see the 3 hugging. I've seen that image a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That was a question I've been having is like, so what has been the shit that people have been spoiling? Because I have missed all of it.
The very first spoiler image I saw was the 3 of them hugging.
So was it the same here? I've seen there's a flat out video of like the conversation between Andrew and Toby in the lab.
Yeah, see that.
And that has not been yanked. I don't know how.
There's a video that was on TikTok that was on also Twitter that just did the side by side of in Spider-Man 2, like Peter. He says you're lazy. You're like, always trying to do better, and then it goes, oh, Peter, my boy, and then it cuts to No Way Home. Peter, my boy, you're so grown up. How you doing? And then it's just like, still trying to do better, and it's just like,
and these are all, and Scott, these are all camcorder dubs. Like these are all.
Oh yeah, it's not clear.
No,
there's been a lot of
some images had watermarks on them.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Oh, you know what? And that's
people and their fucking watermarks.
Yeah, and I mean, and Phil,
unless you created it, shut the fuck up.
Like when I first saw that shit like a month ago.
Oh, dude!
And I warned Brent. I said, "Dude, get off of Twitter now before you see this." And I didn't tell him what it was. And now I was just like, "Yeah, they were fucking real. They were both real."
But at the same time, you know what I mean? Maybe the Charlie Cox thing was like a little bit spoilery, but at the same time, it's like when you saw the 3 of them, you didn't know what was happening. So I kind of took it as, well, it's confirmed 100%. I love seeing that, but I don't know what the fuck's happening in there. So at least it didn't really spoil what was going on. I mean, like I think the Charlie Cox image was like, oh, well, that's pretty spoilery.
Oh, there was a Charlie Cox image.
Yes,
there was. There was a Charlie Cox. It was sitting there.
They're all sitting when they're sitting at the table. And he's just right there, front and center. And it's like, oh, well, that. And just looking at it, it's like, this is not Photoshop. This is fucking real.
Yes.
You know, I saw it. I was like doing Film Chunky live when that happened. People were like, "Dude, you should totally see what Campea." And I was like, and my first reaction was like, "What a dick!" He just fucking puts it out there and put his watermark on it. What a fucking asshole! I'm like, what the hell? Calling Dick Tracy. Calling Dick Tracy.
Yeah,
I got you. Okay, I'm coming back out. Okay, bye.
Dick Tracy.
No. You know what? It really it is. It is Dick Tracy. It is.
Yeah, totally Dick Tracy.
Yes, for
I
sure.
like that.
I've done that like more than a few times.
Scott, we were totally just saying like calling Dick Tracy.
I even forgot to turn my camera and my microphone off. I've got to go take care of the baby, guys. So
all right, man. Well, I appreciate you joining tonight, man. I was not expecting it, and I'm pleasantly surprised.
Glad you made it.
Glad you got to see the movie.
Twip. Go ahead and send yourself off, man.
Okay, so you can find me on Twitter, ScottDC27. You can find my podcast at DC Squadcast, wherever podcasts can be found. We dropped our new episode today, so check your podcast feeds. We're also on Vero, Facebook, YouTube, with the entire network show at squadcastmedia.com. And I am with this guy talking about Batman the Animated Series on the Fanimated stream, which whenever our next episode will be before the
sometime next year,
we will be talking about the Cape and Cowl conspiracy.
Ooh, Hosea Wormwood. Yes.
See you guys later.
All right. Thanks a lot, Scott. Appreciate it, man. Oh, don't worry, Aaron. You know what you do, Aaron? You actually do art on top of it, then put your watermark. That makes sense. Yeah. Campea took images that were sent to him and put a watermark on it that he did not mess with at all. That's the thing. That's the difference. If you actually take an image and you do some kind of art on it, I am totally all about putting your watermark on it because you added to it, you did something. But that motherfucker got some. I mean, but sometimes part of me just thinks that he just got it and they wanted him to put it out there. I don't know. It's all a big weird conspiracy. You know, maybe I'm a little too much, tinfoil hat when it comes to that. But if you just got received images that of something that you had no, you didn't have anything that you created with it and you put a watermark on it, go fuck yourself with that. No, 100%. You don't do that. But if you actually, take an image and maybe you repurpose it, you add something to it, you do something like, by all means, put your fucking watermark on it. But yeah, I just
why did he want? If I was doing I would want that to be a surprise for me personally. Even if I was him.
I just kind of think that maybe they were like, hey, can you get these out there? I don't know. Marketing in this whole thing has been crazy.
Marvel, this has been legitimately some of the clumsiest marketing they've ever done, and I feel like part of it really is because as a result of all the scheduling, they got backloaded. You're really not supposed to release 4 movies in 6 months. That's not what you're supposed to do. That's not the plan. You don't want to do that. Yeah. DC is not going to have to do that next year. They have 5 movies across the year.
That's going to be
so that's what. Cool. Oh, it is going to be pretty cool. But that's what you would want it to have. So I feel like Marvel was in a tough spot, being compressed to between July and December, 4 big and not just small movies either, big stuff, right? Like Black Widow, which was the Phase 3 lost episode that we never got, and then and then Shang-Chi, which that got pushed back a couple of times. They'd been done with that movie for a year, and same with Eternals, and then this, and it's okay. So I think they were just in a really compressed spot, and they weren't certain exactly how to pull that off. I don't know, Dave. I am a believer in the controlled leaks. I don't know if that was. I don't know if that was one of them. It does seem a little weird that he hasn't come under fire from the Mouse House after doing that.
Yeah. So that's why I kind of think that maybe there's something in there. But anyway, I think this is a good spot to end the stream. This has been a great spoiler talk. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you,
appreciate
Steven and Ben for showing up. Of course, they had a bounce, and then of course Scott as well. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Ray. Of course, it's been a lot of fun. So let's go around the horn. Anthony, go first. I know you got to take off, so you go first.
Just all forms of social media at 2279ACS. Add an underscore to that for Twitter. Search for the ACS Universe on YouTube. I am almost live every day. Four Nerds, my show, Instant Replay, World's Finest. Just you can find me everywhere, pretty much. But I appreciate you having me on. This is fire.
Yeah,
it's always I've already, even though I've already talked about this movie a few times, it's still fun to have this conversation because the movie was so good, and to talk with people who like universally agree that this movie is fire. Like that shit hit some beats, and you're just like, yo, can't believe y'all were able to accomplish that.
right.
Too bad the shit we love can't accomplish that. So, and you know what I'm talking about without me having to mention it. But yeah, it's been great, man. Appreciate you having me on.
No problem, man. Thank you. And all right, go ahead, Phil.
Well, thanks again, man. I know I came on a little late. I was actually talking about this same movie for my podcast, one of my podcasts, Superhero Stress. And any y'all want to follow me, just at Unfiltered on all social media platforms. You can also listen to my show, Superhero Stress, The Eternal Night. And I'm also on the Foreigners Network every Friday night with Late Night Poll. I'm not sure if we're going to do one tomorrow because it's Christmas Eve and I got a lot of stuff going on.
That's why there's no pocket stream. I'm like, yeah. Anyways, all right, Ray.
At theflightcast.com on Twitter. You can find my blog and my weekly show at theflightcast.com. I am actually going to do an episode, not for Saturday, because that is Christmas and my 39th birthday as well.
Oh,
but I am going to drop the episode tomorrow because I do want to reveal my full review of The Matrix Resurrections, which I did watch earlier today. So I'm going to have the spoiler-free one on the main show and then the spoiler-filled one where I just completely gush about how much of a fucking genius Lana Wachowski is on patreon.com/theflightcast for all the patrons there. And of course, I also still do Fans Without Borders with Brent over at Squadcast Media.
Nice. I'm thinking maybe next week, possible Matrix Resurrections spoiler discussion, because I want to talk about that movie too. There's just, lot to talk about.
It's a lot to unpack with that one. I watched it twice yesterday, dude.
I mean, if you guys are available, I might be hitting you up and be like, hey, let's talk the Matrix next week.
Just not on the 31st, because
not on the 31st.
All my nerves are going to be shot that day for the Orange Bowl.
I'm sure. No, it would be if anything, it would be on like a Wednesday. Maybe like Wednesday or Thursday, depending on what the week is.
I got nothing. Here we go. I know what Ray's talking about.
Oh Lord,
it's gonna be a game. So
I hope so. I do.
No, I do hope it's gonna be a game. I don't want to.
Vegas doesn't think so, Anthony. But
they don't.
We'll see.
Really?
All right.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, thank you for sticking with us and listen to us discuss Spider-Man No Way Home. And make sure you smash that like, thumbs up before you leave. Subscribe. Become a member if you want to. Notification bell. All that stuff. Patreon's down there. The Film Junkie Closet. Everything. And thwip. That's right. This has been a lot of fun. All right, guys. We love you. We'll talk to you later.